Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the show today. Very happy to have you all here. Hopefully, you've had yourselves a great week. I've had an exhausting one. Everything hurts. I'm sore everywhere. Of course, that's an old man problem.
Yeah,
But you know, I had Obon, but this was our Hatsubon, which is the Hajimete, or ha is used to mean beginning or first time in Japan. And of course, it's the first Obon since my father-in-law passed away, which means there's a lot to do. Absolute insanity. Her mother's house was absolutely clogged with people. Now, to be fair, I'm complaining, but my wife and my mother in law are the ones that had the burden, and her
mm,
sister as well. Brother a little bit too, but they were really crazy. My wife was purely exhausted. We had a day off since last I saw you.
mm.
Yeah, a day.
One,
And that was yesterday. And even then, there was a couple things that had to be done. And then today, there's another the priests. My God, the priests, they're so
the
rich here.
endless
Jeez.
priests.
The endless parade of priests and money envelopes being handed out.
Uh huh.
Holy crap, dude.
Listen, it's a good gig if you can get it.
Dude,
It's a
they
good
make
gig if you can
money
get it,
here, man. But like,
bro. They make money in Catholicism too.
yeah, they
Maybe they
do.
probably don't make that kind, but they're not do. They're doing all right. They're not
Uh,
hurt.
I would argue that Baptists make the most money is if they're
Oh,
willing to
absolutely.
be,
If they're a little, especially
absolutely.
yeah, yeah, they're a little shifty about it. Now, in fairness, so this is how I know I grew up in an actually faithful environment because the church I grew up in, the pastor wouldn't take a raise. The most he ever made, and this was after 20 years of service in a church that did $5,000 a week or $5 million a week in the offering, was $80,000 a year. He wouldn't even use the church funds, even though he was allowed to buy himself a car to get back and forth, for work, basically.
Right.
So the church, the deacons, my father was a deacon at the time, went behind his back, got enough money together, and bought him a car because he just wouldn't do it. Because he was very adamant that he's not here to make money. He always would say he was never going to retire, but then he got really, really sick and he didn't have a choice. But he didn't ever want to retire. He believed, this is what he was called to do. This is his life's mission from God.
Right.
It's not about making money. It's not about glorifying himself. Fair play to him, because as far as I know, the most he ever made, and that was about 80,000 a year. And like I said, this was a church that had money.
Yeah.
They were doing millions of dollars a month in offering.
Well, most pastors, I think, are like that. It's the
Yeah,
preachers you got to watch out for,
that's right. Them
right?
reverends.
Yeah, those
Uh huh.
guys.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, my pastor Don, growing up where I was, he, of course, with them, it was a small church. It wasn't a wealthy church, but man, they had enough. And
Yeah.
they had a kind of the pastor's house was part of the property.
Right.
So the pastor didn't have to pay for that. I don't know how much he got, but he was just, the pastors are usually that way. They're there to be they're kind of the old-fashioned psychologists, is what they are.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And these days we have a much, much lower quality of thing
Right.
that we call psychiatry today. Much lower quality. Because it seems to me that psychiatrists today seem to screw people up more than they help them.
Oh, they're quacks.
They're quacks, and they're
Yeah.
always putting all this nonsense in people's heads. But yeah, the average pastor, I would assume across the country or in Europe as well, are good people. They're well-meaning, right? A preacher or
Yeah.
reverend, watch out.
True believers.
Yeah, they are. And
Yeah.
but
No, they are.
they also tend to be kind of open-minded for your sake, right?
Right.
But yeah, so that's always good to hear. But the preachers, some of them are fine too. But this is where we start getting into skunk territory, right?
Right.
With some of
Well, the
these.
other thing is, Yeah, a lot of them take advantage, no
Yeah,
doubt. But at the end of the day, these people are willingly giving them their money. It's not like no one's being forced into anything.
that's true.
There's a sucker born every minute. It's just the reality of life, and having infinite pity for them is just making them worse. At some point, they either have to admit they've been suckered, which they won't because people won't admit that, or they just get to suffer, and that's kind of where they are. They just get to suffer.
Yep, no, it is true. But nevertheless, we're not here for that. Oh goodness.
Oh, what'd you do?
I went to Twitter to say, hey, we're here, and I saw the worst thing I've probably ever seen. There's a pretty girl walking out with a towel on. She's got her butt out. Nice, that's okay. But
That's
then I
excellent.
saw a very, very young Jonathan Franks, and I'm like, oh, ruined, just ruined.
You don't like Jonathan Frakes? What's up?
I don't like Jonathan Franks. I've never liked him. He's the most
Oh my!
annoying thing on Next Generation. And that is including Whoopi Goldberg.
Wait a minute. Come on now.
No,
Hang on.
no, no.
Hang on. I don't know if I can handle this Riker slander right here.
Yeah, no. I never cared for the that actor whatsoever. Nor did I care for the Betazoid. Um,
I was about to say he's worse than her.
yeah.
No, come on. I can't. I can't. She's one of the worst things I've ever seen ever
Well,
in the history of television.
she's bad. But I did like Picard, even though he's a ultra wokey. But he was really good as Patrick Stewart as Picard. I
Yeah,
did love the guy. Can't remember his name, but the guy who played Worf, and of course everybody did.
Michael
That's
Dorn.
Michael Dorn. He got pulled into so many things, but he was really good at playing that character, right?
Yep.
Um, O'Brien. What was that actor's name?
Oh, come on. I know it. Comini?
Not
That might
sure.
not be right. I can't
That
remember, but it's
that guy's
it's a very Irish name. He's very Irish.
he is, and he was Irishman on the show as well, but he was great. He's not Scotty, but then again, he's not Scotty. It was great.
Right.
He's Irish, not Scottish. So you know. Let's see, who else did we like on that show? Jordy wasn't bad, but he's another super wokey boy. A lot of them turned out super woke from that show. I didn't
Well, it's
mind
Hollywood.
Beverly Crusher. Her son could take a hike, but
Well,
she was
luckily
all
he
right.
did.
He did. Wow, that is a silly human being. Have you ever heard him speak?
I have. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
he's a he's a problem. We'll call him. We'll be generous. He's a problem.
Well, no,
Um.
I think well, let me check my time here. It's been it's a little rushed, but I'll go ahead. He's a cuck.
Yes.
That's what he is.
100%. He has 100% watched his woman get railed by another man.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. I'd actually be very surprised if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I'd be more surprised of that than if it did with that young man. I say young, but with Will Wheaton.
hmm Well, I mean, now that's a good question, Grimlock. This one's for you. If if you find your woman has done that, has cucked you out and gone with another man, cheated on you,
Yep.
and it's not your fault. I mean, because there are situations where it would be your fault, right? You cheated on her first, or something like that.
That'd be about
But
the only one,
yeah,
in my
but
opinion.
say you find this out, your girl did you dirty. Whose fault is it? Do you blame her or do you blame him or both? Who gets the 45 to the face?
Hmm. Well, they both adults, so it's like you both knew better.
Wow, you're going to both
Now,
of them?
now, I'll say this: now, it could be possible that she was lying to him too. If that happens too.
That's true. What do you
She's
think?
she's most definitely taking a bullet to the face.
That's right. She's
Well,
she's automatically trouble, maybe him too. What about you, Thunder?
Well, my opinion has always been she can do what she wants. I physically can't stop her by law anymore. Laws aren't on my side. So she can do what she wants. If she decides to make the biggest mistake of her life, let her. Because at the end of the day, you can't stop her. If she really wants that guy's dick, she's getting it. Right? If he's interested at all, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Unless she chooses not to. There's literally nothing you can, unless you go break her legs, there's nothing you can physically do. But one thing I will say is it ain't even about the girl. It's about the lack of respect.
It is.
If you're knowingly fucking around with a married woman, you are a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
You're a piece of shit, and you deserve to be put on a cross. Period.
Yeah.
We don't need you. We don't need your caliber of human. We don't need anything about you to be involved in the human race's future. We'll get rid of you and move on. And then the woman will do that by a case-by-case basis, but most of the time they probably should go on the cross too, to be honest. They just get them up there, get them done, move on. We used to understand this in civilization.
Sure.
There, for a very, very long time, adultery laws were, well, capital. You got killed for it.
Or
I think that's
branded in the head with a letter A.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly reasonable, and I think there's nothing fundamentally wrong with that conceptually. You can make the argument that there's times when it goes too far, blah 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 blah. But every time you start making those arguments, you start making those exceptions, they're going to get expanded. People are going to keep leaning into that emotionality, that empathy, that bullshit, and eventually you get to the place now where basically there's no punishment whatsoever for it, not even socially in most cases.
Especially for women,
and that's not acceptable or sustainable.
No.
And I say this all the time. YouTube, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. In the West anyway, instead of getting a divorce, hitmen are cheaper.
Yeah, that is true. Just make sure you're smart about it. However, historically, it's kind of a funny answer, because there are cultures. I mean, the Muslim culture is still doing what they've always done. She doesn't even have to be an adulterer and will still get stoned to death.
That's right.
But most of the world throughout history, men take the brunt of the blame, not the
That's
woman.
right.
Yeah, it's
That's
kind of
right.
always been that way. It is interesting that that's the truth. Now, of course, don't go listen to a feminist because they don't know what they're talking about. But historically, men usually were punished more than women were. The Protestants were strict. The Muslims are more so. But
Yes.
the Catholics never were like that, right? And
Not
if you
really,
even
no.
go to
They talk a
India,
mean game,
they
the
do. If you go
Catholics,
to
but
India and Asia, the man was punished more, right?
yeah.
Even
Well, it's
amongst
because
the Catholics and Protestants, the man was punished more.
it is a little bit of a sexist thing. Why that is the case, I will agree, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. I don't understand why we allowed the feminists to turn basic human instinct into a sin. There's nothing wrong with passive sexism that protects women, because that's what it is.
That's what
It's effectively saying that these women aren't fully accountable for their actions because they're women.
That's
his
right.
main reason. And
your house, you're responsible for it.
That's right. You're responsible for it. So men were held to a higher standard. This idea that men got away with stuff is just not true. That's simply not true. Yes, some of the super wealthy elites, as always, get away with stuff. That's just the name of the game. That's how it is. That's how it's always going to be. But your normal guy, anybody under that top 1% of 1%, ain't getting away with anything.
No.
He's just not.
No. And, it goes beyond this conversation as well to just normal crime. A lot of people make the point that today a woman could do the exact same crime as a man, exactly identical, and get half the punishment, which is true. But that's always been true. A lot of times in the past, a woman committed a crime, her husband or her father, even for an older woman, is held responsible.
That's
So,
right.
I mean, women have completely abandoned this and given it away, and I don't think they understood what they gave up. I
Well,
don't
no,
think
now they
they
want
did.
both. You see,
Well,
now
they
they
won't
want
get it.
the exception.
They
They
won't
want
get
the
it.
exception,
Yeah.
but they also want to be able to be independent, quote unquote, because that, first of all, that word doesn't mean anything unless you're rich. It just doesn't.
No.
Not in the West, anyway. Maybe not anywhere in the world, but definitely not in the West. If you're not rich and you can't literally tell everybody to fuck off and die and it not affect you at all, you're not independent of nothing. I don't know what you're thinking you're independent of. I watched this video the other day. Chester Stitcher were talking about this. Of this woman, and this guy was basically kind of soft glazing her a little bit. Of this woman, a wife, stay-at-home mom, whole deal. And she was talking about how she was miserable and felt like she was dying inside. And he said something to the effect of, yeah, because you gave up your independence. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, listen, right there, that's the problem. That's literally the proto-sin of all sins in the Bible. This desire for more. Like you think you deserve more than a loving husband who makes enough money you can stay your happy ass at home comfortably, and children, and a house, which, by the way, most Americans can't afford anymore. You had all these things, and you were still dying inside. That's a you problem. Your soul is corrupt. At a fundamental level, there's something wrong with you that you are incapable of genuine gratitude, not the gland-hatting, topical, superficial bullshit. Genuine, deep inside you gratitude to where you can look around at what you currently have and say, that's enough. I'll get more because I want more, but that's it. I could stop here and be fine. There's nothing wrong with that contentment. With looking around at what you have, like, that's enough. I don't need more. That doesn't mean you can't go get more. It just means you don't have to. It's not this, you're dying inside if you stay at home with your children. Like, the fact that women, modern women especially, will say that kind of shit is repugnant to me on a human instinctual level. I hear that stuff, and I'm like, that's a failed human. Get him out of here. If she wasn't pretty, and this girl was really pretty, if she wasn't pretty, no one would give her the time of day. Wouldn't happen. Not a man or woman. The only reason she's able to get away with that level of arrogance is because she's attractive. That's it. If she was a normal-looking girl, or especially a normal-looking guy, the world would be slapping her down so hard it's ridiculous.
True.
It'd be bitch slapping her down in ways you can't even understand unless you're one of those guys. And that's the problem. So what the feminists have done is they've found a way to demonize the male natural protector instinct, which in turn requires them to take a secondary role in society, whether you want to call it second-class citizen, whatever you want to call it. That's what it requires for that instinct to flourish in society. It just does. Because the man's more responsible, so the man has more authority. That's just common sense. Now, if you don't want that society, okay, but that means you have to give up all your special little privileges, sweetheart. All of them. That means if a man punches you in the face, he doesn't get to do extra jail time. You're an equal person. Period. That means you lay your hands on a man, he can punch you back as hard as he fucking wants, just like it was a man. That's what that stuff means. You don't get your seats. Men don't get up and give you a seat on the train, on the bus. Men men are out of their way to try and make your life just a little bit nicer, a little bit easier. There's none of that. None of that's expected. None of that's required. And the law, which would, and it has started to become more and more equal when it comes to things like divorce and custody, things like that. It's gotten a lot better than it was 20 years ago, that's for damn sure. And it's going to keep getting better. Until, and I think this is what's going to happen, Chester, I truly do. It's not going to be for a while, but I think eventually we're going to revert to a pre-1960 level of sexual dynamics. I think this degenerate spirit that's been going around since the 60s, really, is really at its end. Gen Z basically doesn't have sex at all compared to even my generation. My generation is undersexed compared to your generation. Like, these things are just naturally filtering out, and the young people are becoming, even if they're becoming more like leftist, socially they're becoming more conservative. Yeah, it's very interesting to see.
How does one have to do it? What do you mean less sexed?
They have less sex. They don't. Right? They don't have sex anywhere near as much as millennials or Gen X, or even, and especially not baby boomers. Period. Just end up not casually, not in relationships, nothing.
That explains a lot.
It's just true.
That's not good.
It's just true. Well, but my point is I stay in touch with some of the pickup artist stuff on Twitter. I see it every now and again, and a lot of them will say something is different about these Gen Z girls. They're becoming more and more asexual, meaning they're becoming less and less overtly promiscuous. Now, what's crazy is they're still super left wing, right? In their political ideology, but in their social ideology, they're becoming far more conservative. I find that fascinating to watch because they don't really normally mesh, right? It's pretty rare where you have a very socially conservative but left wing ideology or ideation. But it's happening in real time and it's happening all over. That's why no one's having kids. It's not about money. It's because they're not fucking. Got to
Well,
do the first thing. Got
well,
to do number one.
that's true. It is a requirement.
Yeah,
Yeah. But it's interesting you were talking about the power dynamic and stuff like that because it is askew. That is true.
it is.
But immediately when you said that, it came into my head Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk is an autist. We all know this, and he's an
That's right.
absolute nerd. But he's had his moments,
He
right?
has.
And I'm sure he'll have more. But he he gave an interview, and the interview was asking him you say a lot of crazy stuff, on Twitter, and that you got to have some of your friends or your business partners coming around saying, "Dude, just back up, man. Just bring it down a little bit." That you got to be because it's too much, Elon. He said, and Elon literally paused for 12 seconds, paused.
I like that.
And he says, it reminds me of a great movie I watched, The Princess Bride. Now, of course, I'm going to say this much more eloquently than Elon. And there's a character in there called Inigo Montoya.
That's him. Yep.
And Montoya finally meets up with the guy he's been hunting his entire life, the six-fingered man that killed his father over a sword, and of course he defeats him in battle. And the guy is begging for his life, and Inigo says, "Yes, yes, offer me money, power." Right, and he didn't do it.
Hmm.
Elon was nowhere near as cool as that, of course. But And he says, "Yeah, that's how I take it. If for me to do what I think is right, if that costs me money, so be it."
That's
Right.
right.
And he's a great example of that because it's quite obvious he doesn't actually give a shit about money. He's the most obvious rich man, one of the richest men throughout, well, in modern times. And clearly he give a shit about money. It has more to do with his vision, whatever that might be. And of course, in that case, in other cases, the reason why he's supporting Trump and his people is because the bastards went after his kids successfully. And one of his kids actively speaks out against his father, excuse me, all the time, because it is a transgender.
That's
And
right.
of course, that is the ultimate example of what we're talking about, this freakish breakdown of gender roles. And that's what ticked him off, and that's why he is the biggest threat they have ever seen, right? But this breaking down of the gender roles and stuff, because you're always going to have a very small percentage of population that come out twisted, right?
Right.
20% of the population is all the trouble for everybody else. And to
Yep.
the ultimate extreme, you get rapists and murderers and and
Just and just
thieves and
general criminals. Yeah.
frauders. But in that small amount, you also get these uh, sexually confused individuals. Now, they're not the same category of thing, but they're in that group, right?
That's right.
Just it just genetically, and uh, it's become more and more not because it's naturally happening, but because society has become so confused. And one of the biggest problems humans have now, this breaks down genetically as well, but is the fact that the desire to be noticed, the desire to be part of the group, right? This
Right.
is a great weakness for humans. It's also a great strength, right? It's one of those thingies. And we've seen a huge uptick in people that are choosing gender confusion when they're not confused. They're making choices, right?
That's right.
And the sad thing amongst all of it, we know exactly where this homosexuality comes from. We
Mm-hmm.
know what's causing it, right? Now,
Right.
gender dysphoria is so rare and so extreme an outlier that many scientists argue it's not even real,
Yes.
right? However, cultural pressure is very real, and we have found out that with Trinity College's 30 plus year research, that we could actually prevent, in vitro homosexuality completely by just monitoring the mother's testosterone levels and adjusting appropriately depending on whether she has a female or male child. So we could
Correct.
literally rid homosexuality today. We could do
Yep.
that. Now, here's the question, Grimlock. We have a cure for the problem. Do you think we'd be allowed to administer it?
No, because the money isn't in the cure.
Isn't that interesting?
Sure.
Isn't that interesting? We literally have a cure. Keep in mind to the extreme level of the transgender because they're just gay people that are more broken than normal gay people, right?
Yes.
It's more extreme. And do keep in mind that nearly half, I think what is it, 44, 46%, so basically half of all of them commit suicide. All of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
This shows you the the identity destruction that is going on with them. Now, some of them seem to find their way through it and find some kind of understanding with themselves, and good for them, dude. But half of them don't. And instead of helping them, which you would think compassion would dictate, what we do is promote it. And then when they do die, instead of saying, "Oh, that's sad," we blame Whitey, man, particularly. Isn't that interesting? These people need
Yeah.
help. We know how to help them. We can actually help them, right? But yet we don't because politically and financially, it's more viable to let them die. Wow, boy.
Yep.
That's evil shit right there.
It's pretty much cold calculus. That was COVID all over.
Yeah,
Um,
let them die.
no, the problem is, I think genuinely the problem is one, the ideological capture. Obviously, they're very terrified of this information. This information they don't even want to talk about. Most people wouldn't even. They'd be like, "What? That's crazy." Nope, that's completely true. Testosterone, hormonal, or just general hormonal treatment could absolutely and
Imbalance.
would absolutely solve homosexuality completely.
Yeah,
It is not a natural state. It is
it's a
basically a
natural
birth
hormone.
defect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically a birth defect. There's very little difference, and it could be fixed, but they will
Yeah,
never
it's
do
not
it.
even genetic. Isn't that interesting? It is not
Yep.
genetic. It's just environmental, really.
Yep. So it
And
absolutely could be fixed,
yeah,
but they'll never do it because if they do that, then they have to admit that they are full of shit for one about all this other, the way they frame it as if this is perfectly normal. They were created that way. Blah 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 blah. Blah. None of that's true. A
well,
healthy human embryo does not develop these traits. It just
no.
doesn't.
Now, and therefore, what this does dictate to you is nearly any person you meet that says that they are othered is just doing it culturally,
That's right.
right? Is
Well,
what
that's
the
why it's fallen
reality
off a
is.
cliff.
Yeah.
Something like it went from at one point it was around half of current high school students, Gen Z students, whatever, to like just basically back down to where it should be within like 2 years. It fell right off a cliff,
Yeah.
and now these young kids, man, they're worse than Grimlock and my generation were with the old F bomb. They'll be dropping it left and right. And I personally love it. I love to see it. And the reason I love to see it isn't because I want necessarily people to be miserably offended. Not that I care, but it's not the goal. The reason I love to see it is because 2 decades of intense psychological operation on these kids specifically failed. Failed. The human spirit resisted one of the greatest psyops the world has ever seen, the push to normalize the abnormal, the push to normalize the
The
freaks
extreme
and
abnormal.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it wasn't even just like your normal gays. There's always been gays. That's true. They've always been there. It's always been a part of every culture on Earth in some degree, to some level. Okay, that's not what you were trying to normalize. And stop doing the bullshit gaslighting and pretend that it was. The reason the backlash is happening against even them now is because they didn't separate themselves from the psychos. That's why. And the fact that you laid down with them, you laid down with those dogs, and you came up with fleas, that's on you. That ain't on nobody else.
Although,
It's the same thing that happened, by the way, in the 80s when the pedophiles, this is a fact, tried to glom on to the gay rights movement, and the gay people back then were like, oh, hell no, and got them out of there because they knew
right.
that this is
Well, it's
bad.
a
This is a bad
problem for
deal.
them. It's a problem
Yeah.
because, uh, and we're starting to see the gays, particularly, not the lesbians, but we are seeing them push back very hard now on the transgenderism.
Yep.
And some of the lesbians as well are starting to revert. But yeah, no, the gays had to do that because the simple fact is, statistically, if you take a child and put it with a gay couple, right?
Yep.
The statistical chance of that child turning out also to be homosexual increases exponentially.
Yep.
This is real data, real facts.
Yeah.
And you can't be having none of that whole nother category of depravity being tied on to you with that. Oh my God, that's not good. So good on them for pushing back against that.
Yep.
However, my stance in regards to that, though, it just to quantify it, is really simple. I have no problem with gay people being gay. You do your thing over there. Thank you very much. I don't care
Yep.
about them getting married because marriage is only a fiscal certificate. It has nothing to do with your marital bonds or your love. It's
Well,
simply about money and estate, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I would say that it should be illegal for a homosexual to adopt a child.
I agree. I
So
personally
there's
think
my opinion.
outside of a stable long term, meaning at least 5 to 10 years, no one should be marriage. No one should be adopting a child.
Yeah,
I don't see.
no,
There's
that's fair.
all the data says that's a terrible idea. Heterosexual marriages are easily the best environment where they're stable and they're not full of a bunch of nonsense.
Right.
It's not even like it's not even debatable. It's not even close when you look at the data.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
that's true.
and it's like obviously single motherhood is, as far as I understand, it's still the worst as far as like criminality goes and what
It
they
is
end
the
up
worst. It
being.
is the by far the worst. It's funny, you can have
Yeah.
a single father and the statistics jump up through the roof. So it's
Yep.
way better to have a single dad than a single mom. And which is interesting because we know that a single dad is busy, right? Because single woman, she'll find any opportunity to not work. She'll work if she has to, but she'll find a way around it. Men don't
Right.
think that way. Therefore, there are other people in the life of the child guaranteed, right?
Hmm.
Because the man is there. And I think that's the main statistic. And men tend to be, you know, tend to be more protectors and things like that. So we look at because we see
Yep.
a lot of single moms, and I've
Hmm.
spoken to many, right? I don't know your experience with you too, but
I almost married one,
yeah,
so I got quite a bit of experience.
well, I've spoken to a lot of them, and a kind of universal thing I've seen about these women, they hate kids.
That's right.
Now, isn't that interesting? They're a single mother and being supported by governments all over the world, not just America, but yet they hate kids. And we see that play out in the most extreme ghetto example of it, right? And this isn't necessarily just a black thing, although the black community is absolutely busted, broken. Boy, wow. But we see it amongst other racial groups as well. It's not just black people. But
Right.
The ghetto shows you the face of that the most, because how many examples have we seen of children left to die or wither with single mothers because the last thing in the world they want to do is deal with that kid, right?
Yep.
And even here in little old Japan, it's very rare, but they do exist, and I have seen them, right? And
Yep.
there should be laws.
I agree.
Yeah.
Uh, the the real issue, I think, especially in the West, I don't know about Japan so much, but here, one of the reasons why a single father, and this is just an observation, a single father does better is because we live in such a feminine society that the kid will go to school, be surrounded by women. The kid will anything that's going to be like an event around the neighborhood or whatever, almost certainly is going to be full of women and moms and all these things, right? And because we live in this society that has demonized male interest in children as automatically creepy, right? Like say you're just a guy who likes
Well,
to just be around
in
kids or whatever.
America, in the
Yeah,
cities, it's
that's what I'm
different.
saying.
Yeah.
uh, it's pretty much everywhere now. You don't talk to a kid that isn't yours because you're just going to be labeled, uh, unless you have a kid with you, like unless you're obviously a parent. Uh, but my point is, because they've done this, they've pushed the man out of the public square when it comes to the rearing or just the access to a child because of the fear of pedophilia. Uh, I would say that's why the single father situation ends up more stable. It's still nowhere near as good as
No,
the
two
heterosexual
parents are
couple.
better.
Yeah,
Happy
but it's
family
much better.
is better.
And it's because the child's still getting a relatively healthy, typically, amount of feminine nurturing and the father's paternal guidance
Right.
and protection. And I think that's the main reason. But we don't let men be communal fathers like we used to. There was a time not too long ago where if somebody's dad on the street said, "Take your ass home," guess what you did? You took your ass home because everybody's kids was everybody's kids to some level,
That's
right?
right. Outside
And
the house.
you don't do that anymore. And men don't do that anymore because by and large, if you do that and that kid tries to accuse you, because kids ain't stupid, says some shit, or the wrong female, especially, it's always the women, hears it, you're going to be labeled all kinds of bullshit. You're going to be shamed and maybe even have charge. I've seen crazy shit, bro, crazy shit where charges get brought, restraining orders, and all because a guy basically told a kid to stop being an idiot.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. We
yeah,
don't have that problem here, but I know in the cities, in the blue areas, you have that problem.
yep,
In the countryside, you don't. But I give you an example. I get people literally leaving their kids with me all the time, right?
hmm
I mean, I'm a teacher. I own a private school, right?
right,
And but in other examples as well. Japan has softened as well. The teachers are so afraid of interacting with an angry parent, right? And it's
yep,
funny to me because my whole success that I have had, and I do have success with this school. I do other things, but this school has been pumping for 23 years, and
right,
it works really well. It makes lots of money. It's success. It's successful. Although I
hmm
never even look at or care about the money. I let the women do that. That's what they're good at. But nevertheless,
good managers, women.
yeah, just let them do their thing, right? I focus on the job. However, here's the thing: with these teachers being soft and worried about the parents, I'm the opposite. I always want the parents sitting in the class in the first classes. And after a few
Mhm.
classes, they usually never come back and they just drop the kid off. But I want them there. Most private schools in Japan don't want the parents anywhere near it because they're terrified of the parents. I'm the opposite. I want
Right,
the parent there because I will become stern. I don't really yell, but I will become stern with the kids, especially in early classes, to set a precedent,
right.
right? We are here to have fun. We are here to learn, but you will obey the rules. That is it. There is no compromise. And by me doing that, I never have trouble, right? Because the kids know right well if they start showing their ass, Cheto Sensei is going to get in it, right? Plain and simple. And I want the
Right.
parents to see that, whereas other teachers here and in America are scared of that. I want them to know. And do you know how many parents have come up to me and thanked me for being stern? It
Probably a lot.
shows you a lot. Yeah, it shows you that this mentality, which because the Japanese teachers have the same problem, is wrong.
Correct.
Most parents don't know what the hell they're doing. New parents, I was a new parent. Now I read a lot of books, but I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. Of course, you
No,
don't know. You need guidance from your elders.
that's right.
But what we've done is allowed society to let the children have an opinion. I've had many times parents who come to me, my child wants to do this or wants to do that, and I want to respect their opinion. And I'm like, what does their opinion have to do with anything? You are the parent. You make decisions. Now, if you
Right.
can incorporate
Their
their
opinion.
likes into things, sure. But what does
Mm.
their opinion have to do with anything? You are the parent. You make the decision, right? And this is a big problem. We have a lot of young parents who don't know what the hell they're doing. But yet, if you look, especially in the West, the level of ego and hubris is beyond the pale, dude. Beyond.
Yes,
Uh,
that's the
I
big problem.
I cannot
Arrogance.
believe, and a lot of people with the ghetto fatigue or black fatigue, they really hone in on that, and they're right. Black women particularly are, and men as well, but the women are, the hubris is out of control. But it's not
Mhm.
just the black ladies, dude.
No.
It's all of them.
Yeah,
And I don't know how we got there. I don't
I do.
understand how, as a young person, think you know anything at all. Especially with so many of them, they can't do math correctly, they can't read or write properly. And once again, I'm not honing in just on the black community. This is a widespread problem, right? They
Yes.
have no geographical or geopolitical understanding. They have certainly have no economic understanding. Do you know how many morons are spending 2,000 plus dollars a month for freaking car payment?
There's a lot.
Dude, slap that person in the face 5 times. What the hell is wrong with you?
You could just let have a friend and let them drive you around for a couple months, 3 months, and then just buy a car.
Or just
Nice
buy
big
a
junk.
junker and keep it
Yeah.
going, right?
Well, the problem is finding junkers nowadays. They're a lot harder to find thanks to old President Obama with his bullshit cash for clunkers that took most of them off the road. But you can still find ones for a lot cheaper than paying $2,000 a month for them. And like I'm not paying anywhere near that much, and I just bought a car that had under 20,000 miles on it. So, uh, yeah,
You know
the
how I
these
solve you know how I solve
these
that
people.
idiocy with myself? I never ever take anything on loan. I pay for it out of my pocket.
Hmm,
And that includes a car.
yep,
I have zero debt. I'm 56 years old and I have zero debt. Zero.
goose egg debt. That's good. That's good. No,
2,000
I can tell you
bucks.
how it happened though. I don't know about over there, but here for sure, one of the main factors, if not the main driving factor, is the everybody gets a trophy mentality. Everybody's special. Everybody gets to win. Nobody should feel like a loser, and the complete excising of men from children's lives. And I don't just mean their fathers, but oftentimes even their own fathers, even if they live in the house, whether it's because of their own choice or because the mother is insufferable or because they just don't have any authority legally. Men in this country for a very long time, Chester, you have no claim to your own kids. None. You can't do hardly anything. You can't make their doctor's appointments. If the mother says no to something, that's it. That's the law in many states. Now that's
What if the
changing.
man says no?
So, who are you? You're just the dad. I'm not kidding. That's what the court will say. You're just the dad. You can read court cases where that's those exact words come out of a male judge's mouth. You're just the dad. The mother has all those are her kids. You're just the financial slave to them in functionally. Now, again, like I said, that's starting to change. Has been for about 10 years, but for a very long time, that was the mo of the way the legal system worked. And you couple that with male teachers are basically non-existent anymore. They're just not really a thing. Haven't been for a long time over here. You couple that with the fact that men have largely been demonized and vilified for very basic instincts, like we talked about earlier. But also, and I think this is really the crux of it, when we told men to shut up and stop talking to kids, I get why that happened. Nobody wants to be the creep. Nobody wants creeps around their kids. I get that. But when you did that, men said, okay. And now you have a whole generation of men who are completely checked out of societal norms. They don't care about them. They're not going to try to enforce them with shame or any other metric, and the law won't let them anyway. It's a sad reality, but if you read some of these divorce cases, the men have no actual power outside of whether or not their woman respects them. If she respects you, then you have all the power. The moment she stops, you lose all your power. You have nothing. The courts are so against you, even if you have children with her, to where my brother-in-law, now he wasn't married to this woman, but that largely doesn't matter. He had kids with a woman. He wasn't allowed to make her doctor's appointments. He wasn't allowed to sign her out of school. He wasn't allowed to ask or alter a prescription. He wasn't allowed to do anything without the mother, who he wasn't even with anymore, without her consent, without her signing a paper. It's insane. Like, it's actually insane that fathers have basically no rights, but in many states in America, they have no rights at all. And then people wonder why men checked out. Well, yeah, well, fuck you. That's why. Why would I marry you? Why would I have kids with you? Why would I do any of this stuff?
That is
If I get all the responsibility and none of the authority? That's insane. Nobody's doing that.
It is, yeah. Yeah, no, but that
I'm curious.
obviously was planned.
Yes, 100%. That's the intent, and it succeeded wonderfully. But I do think we're seeing the shift back. We're about 30 or 40 years of this shift towards more and more conservative style everything. And it's going to keep happening. The left is going to keep accelerating its terrorism like it always does. And they're going to keep trying to import infinite people from places where they can just bribe them to do whatever they want because, well, they're stupid. That's just the truth of it. These people are dumb. They're real dumb. Real dumb. And all they care about is what happens directly in front of them in any given moment. They have no ability for foresight. It's not even a concept in their mind. It doesn't exist. They're like dogs. It doesn't exist.
Mexican average IQ 74. Africa's average IQ 63.
Yep.
So there you go.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Grimlock.
They got nothing to do with me.
That's fair.
I
I
ain't over
thought
that.
you wanted to say something. I felt it
Not
in the
problem.
force.
I ain't worried about it.
Yeah. Well, I get it. You don't have any of these burdens, but it
I
is
am.
a societal problem.
Well, we could fix that in a few generations,
We
but
can.
most people don't want to.
We could fix it quite quickly, actually. But that's kind of like it falls in the same similar category of, the average person, even though they might not have children, has no problem having their taxes going toward education.
I do because the
It
education
improves
system.
society. All right, go ahead.
Well, it would if the education system worked.
Well, I'm talking about concept. I'm not talking about reality. Grimlock.
I think society was better when everybody just kind of did their own thing. Personally, I mean, even the fact that more people could read. We have a whole generation graduating high school who can't even read. What are we doing? Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
The literacy effectiveness of the 100 years ago is shockingly superior to today.
Yep.
The efficacy, right? Not efficiency. Sorry. But yeah, this is a whole nother conversation, another problem, the stupefaction of America. So
Bless you.
but it is really, really bad. I'm just shocked at how dumb people are. And it's not, and they don't have to be, right? Keep in mind those educational points I threw out. there are genetic factors. I know you're not allowed to talk about that, but there are. But when it comes to the average person, your racial demographic doesn't matter as much as your environmental educational level, right?
Right.
If you take, for instance, we know that if you take a bunch of Africans, and of course in Africa the IQ is about 63, right? Which is, I mean, dolphins are
Abysmal.
smarter, right?
Yeah.
But if you bring them to say America, and they actually go and get involved in the education system, they'll jump right up to 85, which is purely that's 100% functional, right? We're on average. Well, of course there are black geniuses, we all know that. But I'm just saying, so the environment is a much more important factor than the genetic makeup, right? Is my point. So with the Hispanics, or I should call them Latinos, I guess, um, uh, their problem is clearly an educational one. But I don't know that America can be of much use to them these days, because when I see people doing these on the street interviews and the lighting has hardly changed on the camera, showing me that these people were able to find people very quickly in an area that couldn't answer the most basic questions.
Yeah.
It's not good, because anybody could take a camera, go out and spend a week looking for idiots, and you're going to find them. But if you watch those videos,
Seek and ye
the
shall find.
yeah, that's right. But if you watch those videos, you'll notice that the pay attention to what the sun is doing. What time of day is it? And you
Right.
can see in most of those videos, hardly any time has moved,
Yep.
right? It's not like they spent 4 or 5 hours to find these three idiots. They found them within, 30 minutes, an hour, right? Because the sun's not moving in those videos, right? This is an
Hmm.
important factor, that you can find that so quickly. And just the most inane things. People, you can give someone. I heard a guy ask a question the other day, and tell me, what is 2% of $100? And it was a group of black girls, and they were like, I'm not good at math.
Well, at least she was honest.
Yeah, but dude, come on, dude.
Oh my gosh. And that's funny is because when I do percentages in my heads, I always take it to 100.
Of
I
course.
always find the nearest 100 and then figure it out from there. So to me, I don't know. I've never understood how some people function in society. I mean, I guess they don't. They just make it look like they do. But yeah, there's a lot of really, 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 really dumb people, especially, and I hate to say it because I don't want to, but it's the truth, especially women. There are women out there, Chester, who are just completely have zero situational or geographical awareness of
They're,
anything.
they're not pressured to have it, is why. They're
Correct.
not.
Well, that's exactly my point. The young men are pressured to take all the responsibility for everything all the time with none of the authority, which is nonsense. That's not how anything works in reality. And the women are just given everything. The reason why you see a lot of these marriages just out of nowhere, the woman just up and leaves because she's bored, is because they don't want to be wives. They don't want that responsibility. They want to be someone's pet. They want to be someone's little pampered pet that they have sex with every once in a while, and that's it. They don't want anything else. Like, I mean, Chester, you know that for a fact with your mom. You told as much as you said how much of a princess she was.
Oh my God.
Now imagine that on a grand scale and worse. And that's what you have with the I would say a majority of modern women. They don't want to be wives. They definitely don't want to be mothers. I mean, we have the data on that because they don't want responsibility. They want a career, but what does that really mean? They want to go to an office, sit and type on a computer, go to meetings, and have a boss that tells them what to do. That's not responsibility. The boss has responsibility. You're just a functionary of him. You're basically his hand. So
Well,
that's what they want. It's sad
and
because
it
it's
is
not.
sad.
It's slavery. It's another form of slavery. Is all it is.
But I do have one regret. I don't believe in regret. I'm not that type of person. I
Yeah.
either, if I have a problem, I fix it. If I can't fix it, I go around it. That's my philosophy.
Right.
But I do have a kind of regret. There is it's family, but it's a weird situation type of family. And
Hmm.
way, way back, I mean, 30 years ago, right? A little, maybe 27 years ago, something like that. This family sent their two daughters to visit us in Hawaii. This is when I was still in the States. And
Right.
two girls came over, and they were like 12 and 14 or something like that, little kids. And we had a fun summer with them. But their parents are such a disaster, right? And they have money. They work. They actually work and have money, but they're just a disaster. The father is like, I respect my children's choices. Dude, your kid's two. What the fuck's wrong with you?
He's not making choices.
And
Those aren't choices.
the mother, when she goes out to eat, she always wants the most expensive thing on the menu, even though
Oh
she
yeah,
knows that
uh-huh.
she might not
I
like
know
it.
ones like that.
Okay.
Yep. Hmm.
So that's who you're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
And those two kids come over. Now I know the situation, being me, right? I mean, you know me by now. And
Yeah.
I actually had the thought run through my head, dude, I should just keep these kids
Just
because they'd
adopt
be
them.
better off with me. I didn't make that decision. I didn't push that, but boy, I should have, because those kids turned out into a disaster. One's an absolute whore. The other one is might as well put her in a freaking convent, right? It's the
They went
extremes.
both ways with it. That's
They
funny.
did, but I mean,
Uh,
I really, it's the only thing in my life that when I look back, and I have this memory because I saw what the Horish one, I saw this over a bone, and even took her out drinking with us because we all, a bunch of the adult kids, we all went to a cocktail bar, and I brought her with us because she's 40 now, right?
right.
But and that thought flooded back in my head, man, I should have just kept those kids because it would have been a burden for me. The other one would have been easy, but the Horish one, she was already at 12 showing sexual dominance already. So it would have been a burden for me as a man to deal with that. But I clearly can handle it, right? And it just one of those weird moments in life where I should have done the unusual, you know?
Right.
Instead of the status quo. But that's probably the only actual regret I have in my life is that. And it just came home to roost this past weekend when I had her around me again. Because every time I see her, that thought comes in. It's like, man, she's not my blood, she's not my kid, she's not my responsibility, but I could have made her life so much better. You know what I mean? And I know it's weird, right? I'm talking about someone else's children, and the conversation never even came up, right? But it's just I should have done that. You ever had a situation like that, Grimlock, where you should have taken responsibility for something that's really not your responsibility?
Um, can't think of one off the top of my head, but probably.
Yeah. So it's not my fault, but I do kind of, I don't know, I take a certain amount of responsibility for some weird reason, but I do.
Hmm. Chester, for some reason, I just listened to the stream over here.
Hmm.
I'm super loud
Are you?
on coming through. Yeah,
Well,
like I'm almost blown out loud. It sounds fine to me, but it doesn't sound fine through the stream.
I'll put you back down to 100. Problem was I wasn't able to hear you.
I see. Can you hear me right now?
Oh,
Yeah, it's just soft for me in these headset. So I had turned you two up to 200% of me.
Okay, let's test it right now.
I
Hello, hello,
fixed it.
hello,
I
hello.
I can hear you. It just was soft. And I have tinnitus because I spent my whole life on a damn stage.
oh,
That's it. It is. That's the burden of a musician, right?
getting
Especially a
sweaty.
modern musician. You can't hear shit.
Oh yeah, it's better. It sounds much better on this side now.
Okay,
Uh,
good. I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's just it's Discord being Discord.
Yeah, no, Eric, I understand. I'm the same way. Yeah, I don't have regrets. I don't believe in it. I either fix the problem or go around it. I've always been like that. But that one little thing just sticks in my craw. And like I said, it's fresh in my head because I just saw the girl here, 2 days, 3 days ago. And yeah, I just because I know that because I had that thought when they were little, right? They were just little kids.
Right.
And I actually had the thought, and if I had taken them unto my own burden, my responsibility, their life would be so much better, because my wife and I are actual parents, real ones, right? We don't take any excuse. It is our responsibility, and we take it seriously. We took it seriously. And my kids turned out very successful because of it. It's not hard to create successful kids. I mean, life has its way, right? I get that. But it's not hard to be a successful parent. It just comes down to pay attention and consistency. It's not that hard. But I just know if I took those girls into my household, they would have such a better life now. So I get your point. You're not wrong. But anyway, so Grimlock, how was your week?
Yeah. Um, Fairly peaceful for the most part.
That's good. Mine was manic.
Um, it sounds like it.
Well, it's Hatsubon here, which is the first Obon since since her father died, so that we have to do a whole bunch of extra things. And he was like a mayor of the village, so
Mhm.
it's just so much more people to deal with, right? Because of that, what people want to come show
Yeah.
respect. Japan's got a weird little culture. I don't know, it works, I guess, but they're constantly giving each other gifts and thank you gifts. And then if someone gives you a gift or even just a souvenir, you have to reciprocate, right?
Yeah.
So we have this constant churning maelstrom of gift giving in Japan. I call it the omiyage senso, which means the souvenir war. Um, and yeah, it's the real deal, man. But I do have to say, in the end, when it comes to, because Japanese funeral is twice as expensive as a Western one, right? And but with all the gifts, because in that case they give money, not just like little snack boxes, right? Sometimes they'll
Yeah.
do both, but they give direct money, right? And I was absolutely shocked because I was helped later after counting all the money and doing all the finances after the fact. And dude, that was a 100% mitigation.
Oh.
100%. That's crazy. That means that for that single funeral, I think the total was $26,000 in donation. Holy shit, right?
All right, I'll take some. If you want, all right, Chester, I'll be noble.
Well, I'm just
It's
saying,
crazy.
isn't that interesting? And therefore it was 100% mitigation, right? A little bit over. But of course, there's more expenses that just went on this past week.
Do
But
they not
it's
do life insurance over there?
Oh, I'm sure they have that as well. I'm sure they have that as well. I didn't get into that. I was just dealing with the minutia of the events, right?
Right.
But it's a weird little culture, dude, because it's constantly going around. My wife had to go twice to buy because they made a choice, right? Of what because just this past event, people because Obon is what our Samhain used to be, right? Halloween, right?
Mhm.
Today Halloween is just a fun night out. But Samhain and Obon are identical. There's so many. When you take the Scandinavians and you take the Japanese, it's shocking the consistency amongst those two cultures. It shows you
High
their history.
intelligence, high
I'm
honor.
I'm talking about the culture though, not the
I know.
intelligence. Yeah.
No,
But
yeah, but that's informs it,
it does
right? Like
inform it, and of
yeah.
course,
So you're gonna have that crossover.
right, and of course, keep in mind that the Japanese are in the RB classification of DNA traits, meaning they're white people. They're with us. They're in our group.
Yeah,
They're not actually part of the Southeast Asian group. They have it in them, but predominantly they're the RB group, which is the same as Scandinavians, which makes sense. However, uh, the this Samhain Obon thing, so there's this constant, giving of souvenirs and gifts. So people are coming to the house to show respect for him during Obon, and every person that comes and visits, they give a little bag of sweets as a thank you, right? Of course,
right.
right? And my wife had to go twice to restock their giveaway sweets last week because so many people showed up.
Wow,
Yeah, and she heavily stocked in the beginning, but she wasn't even close. But yeah,
wasn't even
it's
close.
yeah. But that whole giving of gifts, giving of money in Japan is just it literally is a war, right? I stay
Who
clear
can
out
be
of
the
it.
most generous?
That's right. I stay clear out of it. But every time, because I'm a teacher, right?
Right.
So I get souvenirs, gifts, and presents all the time. Constant flow of it, right? Because I'm in a position of authority, right? A teacher.
Uh-huh.
And the thing is, I bring it home, and sometimes I always say thank you and are polite when people give it to me, of course, but it's so rote by now that sometimes when I come home and just put it on the table, my wife said, "Who gave it to you?" And I'm like, boy, she's not happy, dude. Write that shit down because she wants to know exactly who gave it because now she has to go get stuff to give to them, right?
Right.
It's how it works. And so I have to remember every person who gives me something to give her. But I wish they would be a little bit more sensible in the gifts they give. Because I literally have a closet full of alcohol. You know I don't drink, right? At home. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. I'd have no use for it either.
Yeah. No
I don't
use. It
drink at
just
all.
piles up over decades. And a lot of times they'll give me some kind of mochi crap or
No
manju
mochi
crap.
for
I
no
fucking
mochi for Chester.
I hate mochi, dude. I hate that shit. But it's for them it's the standard, right? And of course they give a lot
Right.
of that. Of course, my wife, my daughter, my mother, it spreads around, and it makes the omiyage senso continue, right?
The eternal war.
The eternal war, dude, and it's just insane. Every time I come home, there's always because we have a room that it's kind of like well, technically, I guess it's the do anything room, a study workshop type of room.
Sure.
But it's more of the storage of shit room now. And every time, and it's right by the entrance, right? So I walk by it every time I go in and out of the house. And there's always boxes sitting in the souvenir box area. I
You're
don't even want to
beloved.
know what my budget is for free shit. I don't even want to know.
She'll just pat you on the head like, sweetheart, baby.
I don't want to doing it.
Don't ask this question. You don't want to know
You don't
the
want to know.
answer.
You don't want to know. It is the best thing, Grimlock. Just give the woman the money and just go about your hobbies, and you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be the right woman, though. There's some trifling bitches out there.
Well, that's your responsibility, isn't it?
Yep.
That's on you. Don't give your trust to someone who doesn't deserve it. I mean, you could be friends with people, but don't give them trust if they are not worthy of it. That's on you,
Correct.
dude.
That's why I say all the time that marriage and trust are not synonyms. And if you think that you're going to default have trust in the person you married, then you don't understand what trust is. Trust takes time. Real trust takes decades. Takes a lot of knowing each other
Yeah,
because
because
most people
people are people.
don't even trust themselves. To be honest. So how are you going to say you can sit here and trust this other person
Well,
who you barely know? You've known
now,
for 6 months. You going to tell me you know that person enough to really truly trust them?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Now that is an interesting statement. Not even yourself. Now I trust myself 100%, but that comes with decades of experience. I know
Correct.
who I am. I know what I will do in what situation. I know, right?
Right.
And that is what is called wisdom, right? Learning what life gives you to learn. And so many people fail to observe this. And that irritates me more than a lot of stupidity I see, actually,
Yep.
because life just taught you something. Did you catch it? Right? And
Most
because
people
that's
do
your
not.
responsibility, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, most people do not. Like
No, and
it's
it's
a sad
irritating,
reality that
infuriating.
as I've gotten not just older, but a little bit more, we'll say, learned on the subject, the vast majority of people aren't actors. They're not agents. They're reactors.
They
They
still
don't
are.
actually, yeah, they don't actually have positive, moral, ethical, principled thought. They
No.
just go off of what feels good and then rationalize it away later. And it's shocking how easily that can be done. And everybody's done it. I've done it. You've done it. But we don't. But the reality becomes where you become a wise person, in my opinion, is when you realize that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
When you're able to be like, nope, nope, no, that's what I'm doing. That doesn't make it the right choice just because it's what I chose. And like just like with how most people, the vast majority of people, it is much easier to fool them than to get them to admit that they were fooled. Imagine doing it to yourself.
Yeah,
You've
no,
been
it's
lying to
that
yourself for
oh
years.
boy.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I mean,
yeah,
that's why everyone, yeah, when you're young, because as you get older, think you adapt these things. But when you're young, take a philosophy, man. Whether it
yeah. Good.
be, some faith-based philosophy or for me, it was Stoicism, right?
Sure.
And, take that philosophy and put it under your feet as a young person, as a foundation. As you get older, you don't have to rely on the philosophy as much because you became it, right?
Right.
But yeah, that's essential for everybody. You need to put a philosophy under you, and that's why we have them, right?
Well, if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything, right? Like if you don't
Right.
stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Even if eventually you're like, no, you know what? I don't think this is right. As long as you have the mental clarity and the moral fortitude, we'll call it, to stay on the path of the thing that you say you believe,
Right.
you have the ability now to do it to something else. It's kind of like
That's
how
right.
there's people out there who will say things like, oh, I had to marry her because I wasn't going to get another girl.
Oh, that's
What?
bullshit. That's
If you can
complete
get one
bullshit.
girl, you can get two girls. Like they're not that special, buddy. They're not that unique.
It's not that
It's
unique.
not that difficult. You
It's
can
pretty
do it.
easy, actually. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, yeah,
that's my point though. Is once you've built a certain, we'll call it a muscle. It's just same thing, right?
yeah.
You now have a much higher baseline competency in doing something similar, say you're a piano player. Well, if you know how to play piano and read music, blah blah blah, you're most likely going to be a lot easier to learn another instrument that's very similar with tactile instrument
Mhm.
than somebody who has absolutely no idea. They've
Okay.
never done anything in it. They've never touched it
Well,
because they're similar. They're similar
they are,
disciplines.
but there's even a simpler analogy than that. I mean,
Sure.
you go out and you want to get a driver's license, you study for the test, right?
Right.
You get a new product, you read the instructions. You want to be an electrician, you go out and you study for the test, right?
Sure.
There's no difference. Life also has tests. And,
Right.
taking a philosophy is no different than studying for your bar exam, right? It's the
Right.
same thing. I mean, if you're willing to do that, why aren't you willing to incorporate a philosophy into your life? Because it will help you. It's a guide, is all. It's not, it's like the quote you make all the time. a master isn't the person that began the study; it's the one who never stops.
It
Uh,
completes it.
Completes it. Yeah, you never complete it.
Yeah.
But that's a very essential thing. And of course, I've noticed a lot of people haven't had that. Now, in the West, the very easy built-in philosophy was Protestantism,
Right.
Christianity. And
Yep.
it's a built-in philosophy. And in itself, in and of itself, it's pretty solid philosophy. It's not a bad one. I think
I,
Stoicism is way better, or and so did our founding fathers, by the way. Uh, but
yeah.
uh, but it's built in. But now it's not. Now,
Well,
did you see? Well, hold on a second. Did you see the thing with that Google? I think it was Elon put it out. With Google. No, no, it was a Coca-Cola can. I guess you can get Coca-Cola cans with you can choose and they'll print something on the Coca-Cola can for you. It's dumb, but I guess you can do that. And they were testing it. You can say Allah is king, no problem. Satan is king, no problem. Jesus is king, problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nobody should be shocked by that.
Yeah, no,
Disgusting,
that's
isn't it?
outrageous, though, dude. Come on. And I'm not even a Christian.
The no, the anti Christian, really, let's just call it what it is. The Antichrist spirit that's out there, and the straight it's just straight up bigotry against Christianity and Christians is off the chart. It's, I mean, you've said it before, even in academia, it's the
Oh,
Christians that they hate.
oh,
It's
they
not
hate
it's
him.
not anybody else.
They hate him a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, they hate him a lot. But that's because the Darwinists, because that's where it's coming out of. The Darwinists, they consider that to be their ultimate final boss, right? And
Yep.
it's disgusting because science has become a religion of its own. But
Yep.
you know, and trust me, because I'm still involved with the academic world, right? It's tangentially, but I am still involved. But I have seen them over the past 3 decades just lose their shit constantly because the more actual in my field, anthropological studies, right?
Right.
Archaeological
Hmm.
studies. The more they dig, the more they find the stories of the Bible are based on history. And
That's right.
boy, they hate that shit, dude. When
They don't like.
well, they don't like it, but when Carlson, because he was part of that team that,
Hmm.
because he's a geologist. I know Randall Carlson has become a big guy in alternate history type things, but what he is a geologist, very smart man. And he was part of that team that went out and they were doing a survey in America, up around the Dakotas, I think, or Montana or something like that. They were just doing a geological survey, and they noticed some things, and
Hmm.
they kept following after they were done with the job, and it grew and it grew and it grew, and they did a worldwide thing, and those are the guys who ended up proving that the not the Younger Dryas event, that was they proved that too, but the previous 42,000 year ago flood, they proved it. Yep, the whole world was drenched. They proved it, right?
Right.
Geologically, they proved it, not historically, scientifically. Oh,
Right.
dude, the absolute chaos that was going on inside academia at that time. This is like a 12,
Eh,
13, 14 years ago, right? 15 years ago. Holy shit, they were losing it because before with the flood, because every culture has a flood myth because it happened, right?
That's right.
Um,
Hmm.
but they love to admit the amount of smugness and their dismissiveness of that. It was infuriating, right? Because once again, you got to keep in mind, I'm not a Christian. I am a
Right.
deist, right? I am not a
Right.
Christian.
Hmm.
Um, but yet I never dismiss anyone's religion because why? Right? Now I can point out flaws in it, particularly like say with Islam, right?
Yeah.
But I tend not to give people a hard time for what they believe because like I just said earlier, I think it's important that you adopt the philosophy.
That's
But
right.
I have seen many times in my life, because I am an academic, right? But I have seen many times in my life they just lose their shit, dude. They don't like it. It's an affront to them. It's a literal affront.
Yep.
That's how absolute brainwormed they are.
Antichrists. That's what they are. They're antichrists.
Well,
Uh,
in a literal way, yeah.
yeah, and what's funny is a lot of, I would say most top level, truly top level scientists very often end up right back to nope, God did it,
Well,
because
especially
there's no
physicists,
other.
yeah.
Yeah, there's no other answer. It's just like, this is, at this point, we're just being ridiculous. Oh, but we needed this one in a quadrillion% chance this happened, and then another one of those happened. All seem to happen at once in perfect unison. Uh, no, that don't make sense. Eventually, their bias, it gets drowned out, right?
Yeah.
Because these are smart people. These are people who are analytical, and they're results based people. They're not just theoretical. And eventually they have to be honest with what they're seeing. Like you just said, these people who proved that the worldwide flood is real.
Oh yeah.
Eventually, you just have to be honest with what you're seeing, right? You just
You
have
have
to
to.
be like,
Yeah.
all right, that's just what
Like
it is. Like,
Van Lyck has proven a lot of the early Genesis stories in Van Lyck. But I can't remember his name. There was this Jewish physicist like 30 years ago, not almost, and I can't remember his name. A kind of skinny guy, kind of bony, skeletal. But anyway,
sure,
Jew guy, and he's like a top end a theoretical physicist, right? I mean, you know, and to be a physicist is very similar to being an anthropologist, right?
right,
In this way, the amount of disparate studies you must acquire is ridiculous, right? See, if you're a doctor, all you need to do is study anatomy, right? If you're a geologist, well, all you need to do is study geology, right? But a like with me, with an anthropologist, you have to study anatomy, biology, zoology, botany, geology, chemistry. I mean, there's so it the disparate amount of different studies, which is why I'm a polymath, is because I chose anthropology, right?
mm-hmm.
Um, but physicists are very similar, right? It's a different set of skills, but they have to have understandings of engineering, all the different sciences, biology, chemistry. There's so many things a physicist must know. So we are
Yeah,
similar in this polymath way, right? And this guy, he was the first one I know of publicly. Privately, I'm sure it was different, but publicly, that he's like, well, look, man, we have all this data, right? And all this information. And there's just no way that is naturally occurring,
right,
this reality. It's just impossible. That mathematically, it's beyond the 50th power. It's illogical and it just can't be real. So
right,
this is not a naturally occurring environment. And when he came out with that, like I said, it was about 30 years ago. Since then, we've had more and more physicists that feel brave enough to come out and join him in this public announcement that, hey, I don't know what it is, but this is not a naturally occurring environment. It's not, right?
right.
And of course, with the Mandelbrot expression and all that other stuff, that's, because we had the Mandelbrot idea back in the 60s, I think it was, or early 70s, but with Professor or Dr. Mandelbrot. But it wasn't until we got computing power that we were able to put his ideas into visually created. Have you guys ever
Mm-hmm.
seen a Mandelbrot expression? Have you ever seen that?
No, I
I
have
don't
not.
think so.
Let me show you. Shall I?
Let's see it. Yeah, let me get over there. Do-do.
Here.
It's funny that Hugh Jackman popped up. I just saw this video earlier of Hugh Jackman back in one of the Wolverine movies and how absolutely gigantic he was. Just a monster of a man. He was so jacked.
Here, let's just show a set, a expression set. Here we go. Here we go. Fractal, Mandelbrot fractals. Here, watch this shit. Watch. This is anything, by the way. This is every cell, everything in reality, right? You're watching this, right? This is a mathematical expression of reality, is what this is. The Mandelbrot expression. Now, watch as we go down into this mathematical expression of the universe. And it's quite beautiful, isn't it? The math, this is math. You're looking at math. But watch as we get down in here. They're zooming in. It's a constant zoom. This is what? Uh, 12 minutes of zoom. You could do this forever, by the way, because reality is actually infinite in its scale. Isn't that
Right.
interesting? But watch as you go down in here, and what are you seeing happening with this expression? A repeat over and over and over of the same concepts, right?
Mhm.
This, what you're looking at, is a mathematical expression of reality, right? This is the Fibonacci sequence in visual form, right?
Right.
And the amount of computing power it took to get there. Look, that doesn't matter how much we keep zooming in. Look what we see over and over again. Isn't that
Yep.
interesting? This is real, by the way. This isn't someone's fantastical theoretical idea. This is hard science you're looking at. It's just a visual expression of it. But this is the Mandelbrot expression, or this is particularly a computer set. It is wow, dude. Look at this. And this is why when you get these high-end physicists that will look at this kind of data and say, no, 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 this is not natural.
It's just
This
constructed.
It's constructed. Because look
Yeah.
how it goes. This is reality. We know this is true. Like with electricity, plasma, right?
Mhm.
We can scale electrical tests at any level. We can scale electricity, and it perfectly replicates itself, by the way. We can scale
Right.
electricity at levels that we can't actually do because we don't have technology to do it, but yet it would
Right.
scale. We see
Yep.
this happen on planetary size. Like there's a moon, forget what it's called, the Hyperion. There it is,
Mhm.
around Saturn, I think, or Jupiter. And Hyperion, when you get anything within I think it's a few thousand kilometers of it, 2,000 kilometers, it starts giving electrical discharge off to you, right?
Right.
And any object that comes into a plasma body, like say Earth, they interact electrically, right? But this will continue forever, by the way. And keep in mind, this is not some weird little fantasy. This is hard science right here. And I'm not surprised that you haven't heard of the Mandelbrot, but it's only for weird nerds like me. But
I think I've heard of it. I just don't think I've ever looked at it.
but
Uh,
it's cool as hell, right?
it's very interesting, isn't it? That there's an obvious pattern because
Yeah,
for
a
the
consistent
theories,
repeating pattern.
yeah, for the theories of the prevailing theories of like the Big Bang and evolution, especially abiogenesis, there can be none of this. It has to be more chaotic than this. This perfect structure, this perfect order, isn't how it would look because we know that. Like, how do we know that? Well, chaos theory proves that. Things are always going to lean one way or the other, but you can't really ever predict them fully. There's always a variable you don't understand at this level. But when you get deeper, like quantum level stuff, it's all the same. It's just a consistent, constant pattern. We have different names for it, but the pattern is there. And there's no explaining that away with a bunch of gobbledygook about dark matter and dark energy and blah blah blah, blah and black holes and all this other nonsense that they can't even really prove.
No.
Uh, there's no explaining any of it away with that because you can now we have the tools and the computing power to simulate it, to
Are
show it.
you are you trying to
And
goad me into talking about Hawking? I will not.
So eventually, if you have an honest mind, which I would say most of these guys do, they genuinely just want to know how the universe works. I
Yeah, yeah,
believe that. I don't think
yeah.
they're evil.
No.
But eventually, you have to look at it and be like, there's just no way. The chances of any of it, the way we say it was constructed, it's just not possible. It's beyond astronomical. It's quantum level of chance. There's just no way. Unless there was an outside exterior force that compelled it
Well,
to be
this
this
is
way.
quantum, by the way.
Yes. Yes. There has to be, and when you look at it and you just see this endless pattern over and over and over again, anybody that isn't trying to be in agenda mode looks at something like that, and if it was anything else other than very basic reality, you would say, "Oh, somebody made that." If I showed you a picture, right, and that picture had a very obvious, consistent pattern, no matter how often you looked at different spots of it, the pattern was the same. Eventually, if you have an intelligence higher than that of a canine, you're gonna be like, "Oh, somebody made that." Right? That's not random. That's
Sure.
not a random generation, which, according to the prevailing scientific theories, it was a random. This was all random. This is all chance. Some will say things like, "Well, it can't be any other way." Why? Who said that? The problem is when you start saying there's laws to reality. Who made them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would there just be laws? Why would that be a thing?
Right. And of course, the problem with our laws is they break down at the quantum level
Yes.
completely. And this is maybe an easy way to understand this for people who don't care about science stuff, which is cool. We all have our focuses. But uh, Ant-Man and his ability to go into the quantum realm. This is
Yep.
what that is. It's showing you that, yeah, we are so macro, it's not even funny. But then we're
Right.
also incredibly micro.
Yep.
The
And it
the
just
the
keeps going.
scale of things, right? The absolute scale of things. But yeah,
It does start to put things a little bit into perspective when you talk about things like God and how a lot of people atheists will make this argument: if God is a good God, then why do people suffer? Uh, because your suffering is somewhere in one of these scales that's so far out of the realm of consideration to the overall cosmos. It's like, okay, I get that it sucks. We would rather you didn't, but at the end of the day, it's you throw it on the cosmic scales. It's not that big of a weight. You know what I mean?
well, and also
Uh,
let's think of the absolute hubris that you think
yeah.
that any intelligence, whatever you call it, cares about you, right?
Yes.
Let's look at all of the God stories we have throughout history. God's plan, with the Christians, we know the most because we're Westerners, but
Right.
uh, God's plan, from the Tower of Babel is still in being enacted, right?
That's right.
And that's thousands and thousands of years. Even the Christian God doesn't care anything about you, the individual. It's looking at humanity itself. Why
Right.
would any intelligence care about you? This is where the hubris of the church comes in, right?
Well, it's
We talk
also, I
about
would
your
say,
relationship with God. You have no relationship with God.
I
This
would
is
also say that's where Jesus is different, and that's why a lot of people have this cognitive dissonance. Like I've heard people say things like, I have no problem with the teachings of Jesus Christ. I have problems with blah 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 blah. Okay, fine, but I say this all the time. I've said it on here. I say it right to Christians' faces. If none of the rest of that book was true, would it matter to you? If we could prove none of it, if it was not true, it didn't happen, it's all would it matter to you? And if your answer is yes, then you don't actually have faith in Christ. Because that's just a book. That was compiled by a bunch of men who had an agenda. That's not even debatable. Of course they did. There's other versions of this book that other people use today. Hundreds of them. The Orthodox have a different version, the Catholics have a different version, the Coptics have a different version. You can find Gnostic Bibles out there. They're all over the place. All different versions of functionally the same story. So if it's the book that's your God, well, okay, then that's your God. You're a Biblian. Fine, cool. Or is Jesus Christ your God? And if you can't, this is why I harp on it when Christians say nonsense like the Bible is the Word of God. The Bible never calls itself the Word of God. That is not what's in there. It calls Jesus Christ the Word of God.
Yeah,
That's what it does.
but keep in mind, the Bible doesn't use the word Yeshua very much. It usually
Correct.
refers to him as the Christ. And
That's right.
this
Emmanuel.
is an important distinction, though.
Yeah.
As a Christian, you need to understand this. What does the word Christ mean?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking the universe. It
Oh,
means it means the anointed.
that's right.
It's
The
not a
anointed.
name. It's not his name is not first name Yeshua, last name Christ.
Correct. Correct.
He was named Yeshua.
Yeah,
But
Yeshua, son of Joseph, would
son
probably have
of
been his full
Joseph,
name.
right?
Yeah,
Uh, but he is the Christ, and you see many people will actually term it this way, the Christ, right?
that's right.
Particularly the Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox, they'll use the word the Christ, and the Muslims do too.
Yep.
But it is the anointed one, and the idea is it's not a man or a sentient being that is giving you forgiveness. It is the anointed of God that is giving you forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
But my point that I'm trying to make is, as a religious person, if that's the philosophy you choose, and that's fine, um, you need to understand you are not special to whatever intelligence is behind this reality. You are insignificant. You are not the point. The point is the construct,
It's
not you.
interesting
And
because
I
it's
think it would help a lot of people if they kept this in mind, because I understand the human need to have something to
yeah.
talk to and to beg for and ask for that Christmas present, that little red truck you desperately need. But this is ridiculous. Why would any entity of this scale even recognize your existence?
It's true. It's true. Uh, it's very interesting you say that because I have done a lot of study, and I know you have too, on the Gnostics and their very wildly varied interpretation, we'll call it, of Jesus Christ,
Much better
of the
one. Yeah,
Christ,
I prefer
as they
theirs.
would call it. And theirs is much more in line with what you're saying, where the God of this universe, which is interesting because the Bible kind of does say this, but it's so muddy. The God of this universe doesn't. The demiurge doesn't care about you at all. You're something he despises. In fact, it seems.
Well,
And
that's the whole point. Yeah.
Jesus doesn't come from him. Jesus comes from the one true God, which is beyond the creator of this reality. And in fact, he comes from, I believe he comes from the Sophia, but I'd have to double check.
Yeah.
Uh, but regardless, it's not, the point is he's not, the way that a lot of Christians think of it is God, the creator of this world, is God the Father. But the Bible doesn't even actually say that. That's just something we assume because they use the same
Figure
words.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And if when you actually think about it, it very many times, in fact, calls Satan the God of this world.
Well, it
Yeah, he
is.
is the
All
God of this
those
world.
agree that this world is owned by the dragon, of
Right.
course.
Yes.
But yeah, no, the Gnostics are really interesting. But of course, with their limited comprehension, they put everything in very human terms, right?
Yes.
Actually, it might be interesting little bit endeavor for me to take the Gnostics, teachings and put them and maybe put them in a modern context. I think that might be an interesting read for people. Just take the Gnostic concepts and put them in pure philosophical terms, right?
Yep. Well, I mean, that's what Thomas Jefferson tried to do with his Bible,
Yeah,
with the Christian teachings of
yeah, yeah.
morality and
It's
ethics. He
good.
tried
Have
to
you read
take the
it?
spiritualism out. I read some of it. I haven't read the whole thing. I probably should,
It is
but
interesting.
you can get it online. I think it's free, in fact.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's one of those very interesting ideas, right? He was trying to fully demystify, take all the spirituality out of it, and just make it a practical, rational framework.
A
And I
philosophy, yeah.
think, yeah, I think that misses the point. I think philosophy is incredibly important. Obviously, you need to have one, You figure yours out, but you need to go deeper than that. And the level deeper than that is a form of spirituality that is hard to quantify, and that philosophers have been trying to quantify, and some even race since
Well,
always, and they fail every time
yeah.
because
Well,
it's part of us.
I have read this book, Thomas
Yeah,
Jefferson's Bible, and he chose. I know the arrogance of me to challenge Thomas Jefferson, but he chose the wrong medium, right?
mm,
Because the problem we have with Christianity, the Abrahamic religions, is there's hardly any philosophy and spirituality in it at all. It's so
right.
little. It's mostly law and history. And that's fine.
Yes.
We need that. It's useful. Whereas if he had leaned into the Gnostics, which he probably wasn't too aware of at the time, but
Yeah,
then
probably. Yeah,
again,
for sure.
he was he a Mason or a Rosicrucian? I can't remember. I know,
Well, Washington was a Mason.
yeah, I
Uh,
think Jefferson might have been Rosicrucian, but
you
they're
might be
one
right.
or the other. So he might have had access to information that I'm not aware of.
Right.
However, uh, because the Gnostic concept is deep inside the secret societies, right? The Gnostic concept.
Yes.
If he had chose that medium, I think it would have worked out a lot better for him. But the problem was, and this is why he probably chose it if he was aware of the Gnostic stuff, is it wouldn't have played out well with the society he was in,
Right.
right? But nevertheless, these are philosophies, even if they're stilted ones, but they
Like,
still have their value.
yes, like Robert Downey Jr. once famously said, he was given some speech, and this was after he finally got his life together.
Yeah,
And he said, Mel Gibson, old Mel himself came up to him one day, concerned for him, and just straight told him, "Listen, you don't have to believe in my God, but you need to believe in something. Find what that is. You need to find your faith." Is what he said to him,
yeah,
and that's exactly correct. This idea, this is why I think, as much as I understand what Jefferson was trying to do, as much as I understand what anybody's doing that is trying to do, when you try and take the faith out of it, because eventually you're going to have to take things on faith, especially a new philosophy, a new idea that you decide you want to adopt. You're taking a lot on faith, whether you want to admit it or not, because you don't know what's going to happen. There's no way for you to know for certain. Uh, when you start trying to take away the power of irrational, because that's what it is, belief, irrational trust from a person, they lose something that you can't get back. Everybody who's ever done anything amazing has simply said, nope, I'm going to do it. Didn't matter their circumstances, didn't matter what was going on around them, didn't matter how many setbacks they had. I mean, we talk about Elon Musk all the time. My goodness, this man is beyond Herculean effort that he's put forward to become who he is.
uh huh,
And everybody at different points didn't believe in him. Said, "No, come on, buddy, come on, calm down." Now, most people are going to bet on him, right? They're going to bet on that winning pony. Trump's the same way. Trump lost almost everything for a while there, and then I mean, just recently they were trying to throw him in jail. People been shooting at him, blah blah blah, and now he's president again. So, and it was all because he refused to believe the reality around him that was telling him to do otherwise.
yeah,
And that is what irrational faith is. If you want to put that irrational faith in the idea of God or whatever, cool. But you should put it somewhere because you have it whether you know it or not. Everybody has irrational faith. I'll give you an example, a perfect example, one we've all probably heard. When you're driving down the highway and the only thing between you is a yellow painted line and sure death, that's irrational. When you think about it, nobody would actually drive because that's insane. The only thing stopping this other person from killing me is nothing. At any moment, they could drift over and hit me head on, and we're both dead. Done. But you have an irrational faith that that won't happen, that they're going to be self-interested enough to make sure that doesn't happen, or you don't even think about it at all.
yeah. The
You
humans
just
are good at
drive.
that. We're very good at
Yep.
that. Yeah,
So you have that in you already. Why not put it in something that is proven by other people's experience to make your life better? Why not?
yep.
What's the argument? And I
No,
think that's where a lot of people lose their way, is they
yeah.
don't find that. They don't find that thing to put it in.
Well, I of course, I have little need for faith, but I prefer structure. But I understand the value of it, and I think this is an important point because so many people of their faith, whether it be wokeism, or Islamism or Christianity or Buddhism, whatever it is, Stoics, whatever your philosophy is, you need to be uh, uh, adaptive in
That's right.
understanding the other things around you, and they so infrequently do so. Um,
It's interesting because there's a that my I think it was my father's favorite verse or one of them in the Bible in the New Testament, and it's study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And that's a very interesting verse because there's a lot of different ways you can interpret what that actually means. But the way I always took it is study doesn't just mean study faith, doesn't just mean study religion, doesn't just mean study, whatever. It means study everything. Everything. Study everything. Put your faith over here because all to me, all throughout the Bible there's this theme, all throughout all the scriptures really, even the other ones, even the non-biblical ones. There's this theme of what is faith? What actually is it? It's focus. It's your attention. Where do you put your attention? That's what you have faith in. Whether you want to admit it to yourself or not, if you're a drunk and you're constantly putting your attention in that bottle, that's where your faith is. That's your God. If you're a parent and all you care about is your kids, that's where your faith is. That's effectively your God. Where do you put your focus?
yeah,
And that is, in my opinion, what the Bible is saying, what that verse is saying. Studying to show thyself approved unto God means understand your world around you, all of it. That way you can rightly divide what it calls the word of truth, which is just be wise, basically. Just know the world around you, because if you're walking through life, ignorant as a board, well, I mean, eventually someone's going to hammer that nail in because you don't know what you're doing. And we were talking about this earlier, how a lot of these people get fleeced by these so-called preachers. Uh, I think those people, the preachers who are doing it, especially the really, really, really predatory ones, belong on a cross. However, I have very little sympathy for most of the people who get swindled because you're not doing what you were told to do. You're not studying anything so that you have a foundation that's unshakable. Right? Another way the Bible puts it is have a foundation of stone and not of sand. Right? Most people's foundation in just their life in general, outside of religion, is in sand, and they're very easy to just blow right over. Very easy. I know I used to sell cars. Trust me. It's very easy to blow people right over if you just put a little pressure. And
oh yeah, that's true.
it's a shame. It's a real shame because it's so easily avoided. If when you don't have to do it, you can do it right now today. But if you did it when you were younger and you just do little things every day towards a certain thing, towards becoming a certain version of yourself mentally and spiritually, I would say, you'll get there much sooner than you realize, and you'll be have that foundation. Like Chester, you said you don't even really need faith. You don't think about it because you have structure. That's the foundation. You that's the point. Is the faith is great, and you want to have it, and you want to put your focus somewhere, but it should be going somewhere.
Yeah, but
Right? You should be going towards a goal. What's
I
your path?
understand. I understand a lot of people do need faith, though. I understand that.
Yep.
I don't. I need information, but I'm weird.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. And by the way, Eric, you said Jesus H. Christ. I get the joke. But do you know where that's coming from? That's pretty interesting, actually. That is an early church, well, late church, actually, early Protestant misunderstanding because a lot of the early Catholic stuff, because it was mostly a lot of Greek stuff involved in that. We all think it's all Latin. No, that was later. It was
Yes.
often early in the Greek, and they had a hioe or Isis, of course, and they would
Mhm.
often represent this as IHS or IHC with, of
Yep.
course, the iota, eta, sigma, the first three letters of Jesus's name in Greek, or Isus's name in Greek. And that's later with the Protestants, they took this, and that's where they would take it as Jesus H Christ. They literally did that, and then it became a joke later in the 20th century, of course. But
Yes, as things do. Yep.
as things do. It's interesting you mention that because the history of it is also interesting. It also shows you a very different concept. The Greeks, and keep in mind at this time, the Greeks were building up to their very first empire, right? The Byzantine
Mm.
Empire. And
Mhm.
their concept of Christianity is very Jewish based because Greeks are Jews. Okay, don't tell them that. But
Explains the big noses.
I'm just saying. But uh, and they never leaned into like the Catholics did. You have to keep in mind the Council of Nicaea made a
Oh,
lot of big choices for what the Catholic religion would be going forward. They made a lot
sure
of
did.
choices, right? And one of their choices was to lean into Yeshua, not Isis. Whereas
Mm.
the Eastern Orthodox, particularly the Byzantines, leaned into Isis. And understand these are very disparate people, right? And in modern time, we amalgam them together, right?
Sure.
This modern concept of Jesus Christ is an amalgam of Horus Ray, Isis, and Yeshua, right? And a little bit of Moses in there for good measure, Abraham too. But the back at that time it was more present, right? Because it was, and but the Orthodox went more with the Isis character, whereas the Catholics lean more into the Yeshua character. Now, for a modern Christian who understands this and looks at it, they're going to lean into the Yeshua stuff because, well, that would be the actual God story, right?
Sure.
Isis was a king of Petra, and he was one of the people vying for the throne of Rome, the emperor, to be the emperor of Rome, because as usual, the emperor died and there was no one to take over. Genius politics they had going on there. But he lost to, they all lost, all the contenders lost to Vespasian. And of course, he is the guy who was put on the cross and was taken down by Josephus, because who paid money and had influence, and he was put in a prison up in Ireland. So that's a man, right? That's a dude,
He's
a
a
political.
man.
Well, that's a political guy. Whereas Yeshua was a prophet, right? Now you can argue whether he was also the son of God, and this has been argued for millennia. Uh,
Since
but
always.
but I'm just saying, in the writings of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John,
Yes.
Yeshua is the guy. Isus is
Yes.
not. Isus was a political figure, right? But in modern times, we've conflated the two, right? But it is interesting, and I think it's quite good that the modern church has recognized this, and they're starting to separate it out. Because if you're a person who believes the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, particularly, because everything after that is politic, right?
Yes.
If you're a
I don't even think it should be
Christian,
canon,
you got
personally.
four books.
Yeah.
That's it. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. That's your books, right? Everything else is politic. But and not necessarily bad politic, but just to understand, it's not religion. It's not
But a
faith.
lot of it is like just institutional,
Laws,
rules
order,
things.
rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's not necessarily bad. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying
No.
that's not your faith, though. But Matthew, Mark,
Correct.
Luke, and John, that's your faith stories. And the
That's
and
right.
the character in there, Yeshua, we say Jesus once again, a conflation. Jesus is a Petran king. He is not
Yes.
the prophet. Yeshua, Joseph, right? That's his name. He's his same name as his dad, by the way, right? They are Yeshua's, right? Um, that's
It
the
sounded
prophet.
like it sounded like you were in Yiddish for talking about someone's shoes.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Um, but if and the argument people will have whether that is a honored prophet as with the Muslims and certain Christians at the time. Keep in mind, the Muslims
Yep.
just stole that whole concept from Damascus, right? And they didn't. They believed that he was an honored prophet, but he wasn't the son of God. And then, of course, you have the Westerners who believe he was the son of God, and of course, that's where the Catholics went. So I don't care about that argument. You what you believe, that's good for you. That's your thing. But that guy, his name is Yeshua, right? And but the Greek, the Septuagint particularly, which was used for translation by King James, of course, well, his scholars, is taking off the Greek, and it's why we get Isus or Jesus instead of
Right.
Yeshua or Joshua in the book. And it's just a because the Greeks didn't look at it the same way as Catholics did. They didn't.
Yep.
So that's but that interesting, Eric. That's where Jesus H Christ comes from.
That is interesting, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. See, you learned something. Maybe, probably not. He's probably not
Huh.
listening.
I was just listening to the stream on the other side. I'm still super booming loud. I don't know. I turned my mic down a little bit, changed the setting in Discord. I don't know if it's through my end or what, but wow. I get it. I hear what people are talking because people have said that for a while. Every once in a while, someone will come and be like, "Wow, he's really loud," and I'm literally just talking just like this, my normal voice. I'm not. Sometimes I am, but most of the time, I'm just my normal voice, and it just
Well,
booms through.
I
I don't know
dropped it
why.
10%. I dropped your you two, meaning the other mics coming in. I dropped it by 10%. How does it look now?
Let's see. Let's give a listen. Let's give an old listen here.
Eric says, "Thanks for nerding up my joke." Sorry, dude.
Huh. Yeah, it's I'm still way louder than you. I have no idea why.
Well, maybe
For
I
whatever
can
reason.
fix it by increasing myself somehow. Um, because I am not even spiking at, I'm usually around 60%, but that's this mic, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if
That's
there's
what I just turned
anything I
mine
can
down
do
to was
about it.
60%. It's still for some reason comes through loud. I have no idea why.
Let me see if I can somehow increase it. I still got that at 90. I got myself at 100. Yeah, I don't think there's anything I can do, but I'm having troubles with this headset anyway. But it is what it is. I try to speak strongly, and people can adjust their volume and turn it down, and I think they can still hear me. But it is what it is. But
It
yes,
is in
Eric,
fact what
anytime
it
you
is.
wish to have something nerded up, just throw it my way, sir. But I mean, it
You?
is interesting.
No, not you.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting how all that took place and how, because, one of the arguments, because some people will use this in a negative way against Christians, right? Which is not what I'm doing. However, uh, I think what's important is not the names and the places, it's the concept, right?
Right.
That's what's most important anyway. So, take it that way. But
Yep.
IHC, yeah, because the Greek don't have a J, they use I, right? So iota. Nevertheless, I'm going to go get some more coffee because I need that. You guys prep it up because when I come back, we're going to
You don't
be
need
going
that
to
damn
nerdy.
dog water.
What do you want, what, Grandma?
You don't need that damn dog water.
I do need that dog water. But you guys kind of get into entertainment conversations, and we'll come back and get into it. So I'll be back.
Oh, you know what? It's interesting watching the going back now and seeing some of like my YouTube feed because they're more popular again. Seeing
Yeah.
a lot of the Marvel stuff popping up that I've never even seen because, like most people listening to this, we all checked out of it right a long time ago because it got just absolutely abysmal and wasn't worth the time or the effort to keep up with. So it's interesting to see some of it play out now that you have a little bit more hype around Marvel again for the first time in almost over half a decade, which is crazy. When you think about it, that's crazy. Like Go back to any other time in the history of cinema, right? And say you had 5 years out from a movie or a set of movies. It's kind of crazy how much the MCU has changed the scope of a movie time frames, right? So like I was thinking about this earlier. Age of Ultron, the second Avengers movie, came out in 2015,
Yeah.
3 years after the first one. And then the next one came out in 2018 and then 2019. 3 years apart, each one of those movies. We are now on year 7 since the last Avengers movie. Now, yes, granted, COVID happened in the middle and that fucked everything up. Sure. Probably would have had it by now, 2024, most likely 2025 at the latest. Most likely. But it's coming. They do have a new, apparently they put it out either earlier or yesterday, whatever, another sneak peek for Doomsday. They're hyping up Doomsday. They've been hyping up Vision Quest, the Vision Show or whatever they're calling it. That apparently they're putting out. They have a lot more push than they had just a couple years ago, and I find that very fascinating because it's super rare to get a second chance with the same relative franchise like this that we're getting here. And in all honesty, I'm trying to think of another one that's done it, and there's very few, right? Like obviously James Bond was constantly reinventing itself, right? That's kind of its whole thing. New act, new lead, new tone, largely the same until you get to Daniel Craig, which got all serious with it. But before that, they were still pretty much campy, tongue in cheek fun, right?
Yeah.
And then you get to Daniel Craig and everything got all dour and shit. But that's kind of the exception. Like most of the time, things just kind of peter out. You have Star Wars, which Disney's done a great job of murdering that. Even like a great example is even Star Trek. Star Trek had a renaissance, right? Next Generation, my opinion, that era from '88 all the way to 2004-ish, 2005-ish, somewhere in there, was one of the greatest runs of anything ever, especially when it comes to entertainment. Almost 20 years, and
Yeah.
the MCU is now older than that. It's been going longer than that, is my point. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like the fact that it's still able to generate buzz and hype and still put out a movie that's going to easily make $2 billion with Spider-Man. I haven't looked at the box office this week or this weekend. It's probably already there or very damn close to it. And it's not even been out that long. The fact that it can still do that. Now, granted, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Spider-Man is over. Doesn't necessarily mean Marvel as a whole is over. But I will say to their credit, by and large, they've been making the right moves. They've been capitalizing. It looks like they actually do have a plan finally, and not just whatever the hell they've been doing for the last half a decade. Almost 8 years since the MCU has felt like it was actually trying to go somewhere at all, right? Like, yeah, they were doing the Kang thing, but even when they were doing the Kang thing, I think of a big portion of what should have been their audience was not interested in it. Kang's not that interesting of a character to start with. They race swapped him for some reason, and the way they were building it was just not good. It wasn't a good build. Putting him randomly in a TV show, then having him be the villain and the infinite versions of him, the villain of the end of the Ant-Man movie or whatever the hell. Like it wasn't compelling. Compare that to what they did with Thanos, and that's where this brought me to this because I saw a video earlier showing all of Thanos's hype, right? His hype builds, his hype runs, where he showed up, or they mentioned him, or whatever. And the build for Thanos was, I mean, it was Mega Powers explode build, right? Use a wrestling reference. It was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. And going back and watching it now, past the context of it actually happening, I don't know if anybody could replicate it. It's impressive. They deserve the credit for that. But the fact that it still has cultural relevance today, 7 years later, mind you, 2019 that movie came out. The Endgame came out. 7 years later, they have somehow, it's seemingly, again, still early times, still early days, we don't know, but they've seemingly righted the ship and they're heading the right direction on the hype wave instead of the way they were heading for so long. They deserve
I
credit
will not.
for it.
I will not give them that much credit. It goes back to what you said earlier. It's Spider-Man. It's the power of Spider-Man. There,
That's
the
true.
flagship
That's true.
character that they have been trying to butcher for the last 20 years.
They have.
That's that's the thing. Whether they want to admit it or not, he's America's hero.
Yep.
Whether you know, used to be, you could argue it used to be Superman. It's not. It's Peter Parker.
Yep.
Um,
That's DC's fault, but
the,
yes.
the people want to get behind Peter Parker Spider Man to the point where, let's be frank, he from everything that I've seen, we haven't had a great Spider Man movie since Spider Man 2. We haven't. I know everybody is tickling the taint of Brand New Day. It's I'm not gonna watch it, but from everything I've seen, it's a 6 out of 10 movie, which is not bad. It's not, but that just goes to show, the over. It's like
Yep.
Hulk Hogan coming back to the WWE in 2002.
Yep.
It's like it's like yes, Hogan. It's Hogan. Hogan's still over. You may not be. He is. And I look at
Right.
the MCU, and it's not over. Spider Man. Now, I will say they may have inadvertently, because I don't think they did this shit intentionally, because we've seen what Kevin Feige has been left to this last decade. I don't think he's that fucking smart. I think he should have been fired already. Already gone
That I
over
agree with.
that.
100%. Yeah.
But if you look at what they got potentially set up, they have potential to save themselves and
They could.
and potentially reignite the magic. How do they do that? It's going to be that.
It's going to come down to execution entirely.
And,
Because they have
and
every institutional advantage you could ever want. And now they actually do have the hype going their direction, whether they did it unintentionally or not. It's undeniable. So it'll really come down to sticking the landing. For most people, as much as I disagree, as much as Chester disagrees, as much as you disagree, and you've never even seen it, Endgame was a fart. Or, I'm sorry, for most people, it wasn't a fart. For most people, it was a great film. They love it. People to this day, normies to this day, love that movie. They'll talk about it at length. They'll talk about it as the greatest thing since sliced bread. Blah 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 blah.
I'm just going to say the casual fan's a fucking idiot. I'm just
Correct.
gonna. I'm not even going to sugarcoat that.
Correct.
And you hate it because the casual fan has always been more catered to than the people who make these niche markets, whatever the niche market is. It's the same thing that happened in sports. You want to know why sports is fucked up the way that it is? It's the moment they started going hardcore after the casual fan. That's what happened. You want to know why the NBA shit is because they went to try to appeal to people who don't fucking who are not regular season ticket holders. Hardcore normies don't go pay to see the Atlanta Hawks. Okay, they don't.
Correct.
The hard, it's hardcore fans who actually get season ticket passes to see the fucking Sacramento Kings. It's not normies.
But the point that I'm making
And the
is
same, and it's the same thing with Marvel. The MCU is held up by even the guys who have problems with Brand New Day have already seen it 3 times.
yep.
The normies saw it once. They might see it again when it comes out on Disney Plus on DVD, and that's it. But those are the people that get appealed to, and you have butchered, and they have, like I said before, they have skipped so many fucking things in getting to Thanos. that they did not have a plan, and you can tell they didn't have a plan. They still don't have a plan because who comes after Doom? You already fucked up Galactus. You
I
potentially
think the plan is. I think they do though, because I have seen Brand New Day. I think the plan is Dark Phoenix. I
Yeah,
genuinely do.
100%.
Yeah, I
Did you
think that's who's
see
after them.
did you see the ex post facto that they did with Captain America?
I did not see that.
Yeah. The old man Steve Rogers at the end of Endgame wasn't
Yeah.
Steve Rogers, it's Loki.
Oh boy, did they
What a
really?
lazy ass solve for their dumbassery.
Ah!
see
Hey,
what I
where the
just
hell?
did.
Where's Steve been this whole time? What's he been up to?
I think this is going to play into because keep in mind this Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday, the whole thing is alternate reality. Tony's family got wiped out. He 100% blames Steve Rogers for his and the Avengers, but Steve Rogers for his actions in fixing their reality. He hurt his reality. That's who Doctor Doom is angry Tony Stark, and he blames Captain America for everything, and therefore, whatever Cap was doing during the period that we don't see him is going to probably play in because I'm telling you, the big bad of this movie is Captain America. Just
Interesting, wouldn't
and let me split off here for a second and talk about Brand New Day, if I may,
it? Mm-hmm.
because I
Did you see
saw
it?
it. I did.
Oh, he saw it. Look at this guy. He was hiding this whole time. He had this under the radar, under the hat, the whole time. He didn't mention nothing, had nothing to say about it. Look at him coming in. He gets his coffee. He's like, listen, motherfuckers, I seen it.
Yeah,
This
I did.
guy.
I did. And it is a hot mess. Um, so let's talk about it a little bit, shall we? Spoilers. Okay.
Here it comes.
Um, good. Let's do the good first. Let's do the good first. All right.
Yep,
One, Peter and Frank are the best part of the movie.
they are. I agree.
Yep. Even though Frank's not supposed to be there. The Hulk
Right.
stuff is great,
Yep,
even though he's
I
not
agree.
supposed to be there.
Yep.
Uh, the action's not bad. The special effects are fine. Yeah, that's about it. But those are good. And therefore, because of those, I give the movie a 5. If you're a desperate Tom Holland fan, maybe it's a 6, right? But
Is
it's
there a desperate Tom
completely
Holland fan?
watchable, fun movie, though. No problem. Go
Yep.
see it. Enjoy yourself. The Scorpion stuff is fun. There's lots of little, if you're a fan like me, a comic book fan, whoever the writers were and the people involved in the design, the actual people, they
Yep.
love Spider-Man. There is so many fan service in this movie. There are so many Easter eggs. There are so many scenes that are a snapshot taken right out of the comic book. There's so much.
Yes.
It's insane.
Covers.
I
Yep.
don't think I think the last movie I saw with that kind of fan service was the I think this either the first or the second Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's you had to be a deep nerd to get those, by the way. But
Yep.
honestly, you got to be a deep nerd to get these two. So there's a lot of that love. Therefore, that's what I think overall it's a positive movie. Go watch it. You'll have fun. Okay. With that said, the bad.
Jean Grey.
Yeah, of course. But the problem is Jean Grey, Frank Castle, Bruce Banner were
Yep.
never intended to be in this movie. And it's so blaringly clear that Disney
Mm.
interfered at a late stage because let me explain. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Their concept initially this is just from what you go watch the movie because the changes they made were so late that didn't want to go back and reshoot the entire movie. So they're all left in the movie. These things I'm about to tell you are still in the movie. All right. The
Right.
original bad guy of this movie was supposed to be Spider Queen. Now, let's be fair, they wouldn't get that nerdy about it. They would have just said Madam Web, right?
Mm.
or they would have done something like that. But canonically, it's Spider Queen. And to give you an example of this, several times throughout the movie, you see spider webs and spiders in the webs in various places. Now, a lot of them you probably didn't notice because you're not looking for it. However, there is one that's super clear when Peter comes out and gets a pizza. What's the point of that
Yep.
whole scene? Well, the whole point of that scene is to show that as they zoom into the web with the weird spider on it, because and it also the mind control. Because keep in mind, Jean Grey's powers don't work like that. That's not how her
Right.
powers function, right? But Spider Queen's do, because what they're showing you is she is spying on Peter and others through the
Mhm.
spiders is what that is, and she controls people mentally, mind control through the spiders. This is what the Spider Queen does, right? Like I said, I'm sure their initial idea was to give her a different name because Spider Queen's a stupid name. But because Spider-Man sounds stupid too, but it works, right? But nevertheless, this was their initial idea, and this explains why she, which later they changed it to Jean Grey, is so monstrously cruel and in evil, just plain evil. Because you had made a comment last week of the big bad being from Damage Control. No, he's not. He's just a corporate goon. The big bad in this movie is Jean Grey. She is the
Think
villain.
so?
100%.
Oh, she's the
100%.
villain, yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean,
but
he
no, she's the
is
big bad.
torturing
He's
young women and killing them too.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't
yeah. But
know.
that's Amanda Waller shit. It's the typical corporate goon.
Yeah, the bad Waller's the bad guy. What do you
Yeah,
mean?
but it's not the big bad. The big boss of this movie is Jean Grey, but it wasn't supposed to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, she's murdering people in this movie, right? Now the
Yep.
studio come out and say, "Well, she doesn't actually kill anyone." Really, having an old man walk into a oncoming bus and get flattened isn't murder,
Yeah, I don't know how he survived that one, but okay, sure.
right? But and then keep in mind, we don't see Jean Grey until very late in the movie. And when she
Yes.
does show up, they force it, boy, right? And all the stuff, all this evil, monstrous, cruel shit that this villain is doing. And then all of a sudden, Spidey is like, "Oh, she's just looking for her sister. I gotta help her, dude. Fuck off,
Yeah.
right? Fuck right off.
That's
This
what
is
that's where
an
the movie
evil
loses
person,
a lot
right?
of its points for a lot of people, I think,
Right.
because
And
Spider-Man wouldn't do that.
it gets deeper, right? Because that was their original plan, and it would have been cooler if they stuck to it, right? But
Yep.
Disney's got something over them, right? Another thing, Frank Castle wasn't supposed to be in that movie. It was supposed to be Silver Sable. There are references to Silver Sable all over the place. And
Yeah.
she is hunting the Spider Queen for some reason. I'm assuming they literally just juxtapose or just swapped Frank Castle for Silver Sable, and that was that. But she's referenced everywhere, right? So
Yep.
obviously Silver Sable, and what they were probably initial concept was to have her have a little bit of a dalliance with Peter,
Mhm.
because the last movie they ended it completely. Fake MJ's gone. It's all gone, right? So we're
Right.
going to have a fresh start. And in between him and finding his real MJ, he had a couple of dalliances in the comics, right?
Sure.
And Silver Sable is certainly probably what they were doing. But Tom Holland probably put the nix on that. No, I want my girl here. She does plenty of movies without me, but I can't do anything without her. I'm a cuck simp. Well, whatever. That's a different conversation. And but the Silver
Like
Sable
detective, he
is,
could fall from this.
oh, come on, you know it's right. But so they probably put the nix on the dalliance, and but they still that was the character that they were going to have, and that's it. Nice, tight, contained. One thing I do like about the
You know
movie
what?
is they're not saving the universe. It's very simple. That's great.
You know what'd be hilarious? If he did have a scene with another fucking woman, she'd finally have a reason to have that same fucking expression she has in every fucking movie.
Well, yeah, and I mean she's not great in this either. But luckily, you don't have to talk. We should have cut all that shit out of the movie. It would have been smoother and better. However, do keep in mind another little kick in the balls. Her boyfriend in the movie is his nerd enemy in the first movie. Same guy, right?
Mhm.
Same actor. But anyway, that aside, I don't care about that shit because it's dumb. It shouldn't have been in the movie at all. However, it gets worse, right? Because somehow Disney came in and said, "No, we want this and this. We need you guys to sell our X-Men because everyone hates us now." Now, I don't know if they had something over Sony or it was just money. I don't know, right? But whatever happened, Sony is like, "Okay, fine. We'll change our entire concept for you." And they changed Spider Queen or whatever they were calling her into Jean Grey, which doesn't make any sense at all, right? And all the stuff when we see Jean Grey is way at the back end, third act of the movie, and her character is not even close to what we've been getting the whole movie, right? I don't even think it's not even the same voice. I don't think. However, so Jean Grey was forced in because they want to sell their upcoming X-Men. They want to do the Dark Phoenix stuff, and although I'm glad she's kind of cute, although she looked very sickly in this movie, which kind of makes sense. But she's super skinny. I don't know, but whatever. That's the least of our concerns. However, it gets worse in this way. That whole inhibitor chip thing,
Mhm.
I don't think was an initial idea. I think it was an adjustment, right?
Mm.
And uh, do keep in mind, by having him create this inhibitor for himself, which he didn't even need, do keep in mind they have now, by canon, Spider Man is the creator of the inhibitor, and therefore all the mutants that are going to be terrorized, abused, and murdered are because of Peter Parker's invention. They did
That's right.
this, they did that,
Well,
right?
they got to set up another civil war somehow, Chester. Come on.
I'm just saying that's an asshole thing to put on Peter Parker, dude,
It
right?
is.
And that's the only reason the Hulk's in there. That's the only reason. Now, I'm glad the Hulk's in there because it's one of the better parts of the movie. It works. And a little bit of a real spoiler, you notice that we finally got real Hulk back.
Yep.
Finally, after all this time. And that Hulk, which has been sleeping since what? Before Infinity War, right? When
Oh yeah,
Thanos kicked his ass is when it's the last time we saw real Hulk. But you notice when Hulk came back, he recognized Peter.
he did.
And
Yep.
that's an
For a
important
second,
point because Peter
for a
has
split
been
second, he
forgotten.
did.
He did,
Yep.
and he stopped murdering him, right?
Yep.
And he let himself fall.
Because he
So
was gonna murder him, and I
he was
appreciated
definitely going
that.
to murder him. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
definitely
Hulk
going
was
to
about
murder
to
him.
squash that bug.
He was, and it was it was a great part of the movie. But keep in mind, the only reason that was in there is because they wanted Spidey to be the creator of the inhibitor. And
Mhm.
because keep in mind, Bruce mentioned that because that's where Spidey got the idea. But keep in mind in the movie, Bruce mentions he didn't make that, the initial one.
Right.
Somebody else made it for him. He didn't state who. But then Peter went and made a very successful version of it, right? And
Yes.
that's going to be used to
Which I liked
incredible horror.
actually.
Huh?
I liked the way they did that because one of the
Yeah.
problems a lot of people had with his version of Spider-Man is he was always leaning on other people to solve his problems, either indirectly or directly. And here they did it right. He
Yeah.
doesn't lean on
Showed
him to
his
solve his
intelligence.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, he leans on him just for information so he can solve it himself. And honestly, once he gets to just a little tidbit of it, he figures it all out himself anyway.
He
He just
does.
needed
And
that
it
little
was good.
spark to get there. Yeah, they did
It
that
was
very
good. It was
well.
good.
They
I
did a
love
good
the
job
Hulk
there.
stuff. I'm just saying it wasn't supposed to be in the movie. It was only there because of Disney,
It would have
right?
worked better with the lizard.
It would have. Dr.
I'm just
Connors.
saying, if it was
It would
Dr.
have been better
Connors
with Dr.
inhibiting his
Connors
mutation.
because it makes
Uh,
sense for Dr. Connors more than the Hulk, right?
yes,
Especially seeing as he already had control of the Hulk last time we saw him, right?
that's what that was my biggest complaint. I even said it in the theater to my wife, and she went, "Yeah, what?" Last we knew, he had full control of the Hulk. They were buddies. They could talk to each other. It wasn't that big a deal. And then all of a sudden, he just completely loses his shit.
Yeah,
Like what?
and may
Why?
and maybe
What
that was
happened?
the thing. Maybe Connors was the voice he went to get advice from originally, and they changed it,
Yep,
right?
I think
Uh,
probably.
yeah, probably. Just keep in mind, Frank Castle wasn't supposed to be in there, even though he's the best part of the damn movie. I know it's the "let me tell you about my feelings" Punisher. I get it, but
Yep.
he and the interaction between him and Peter is great, right?
It is.
The Hulk scenes are great. What's supposed to be in the damn movie though? The Jean Grey stuff is awful because it wasn't what the intention was.
Right.
We should have had a big bang out fight at the end with the Spider Queen because she's brutally evil and cruel. I mean, brutally. It's good. It was actually turning up to be a good villain. But then
Yep.
they had to down it because, well, Jean Grey, we don't want her to be that bad because we need to use her, right?
We got to
So
make her redeemable.
so the end was bullshit, complete bullshit.
Yeah.
And
No, I
another
agree with that.
complete bullshit. They had to rewrite
Yep.
it, and they did it. But here's another little clever. I like your idea where he did the handshake with his friend and he remembered him. That was
Yep.
clever. And which also means all he has to do is kiss a fake MJ and she's back.
Kiss
Muscle
her for
memory,
real.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But there was
Which, by the
another.
way, they foreshadowed it because she literally says that to him. What, a fairy tale kiss is going to fit? You know, true love's kiss.
She did.
Which,
She did.
yes, that's exactly what's going to happen
That's what's
eventually.
going to
Just
happen.
spoilers.
Spoilers. But here's another bit of genius cleverness by the poor actual writers and people who actually did all the work with all
Yep.
this consternation that Disney dropped on top of them. VMAX was supposed to be a thing in the movie.
Yes.
It was something in the movie that Spider Queen was after, right? It was a thing, right? But they changed it and they had because they can't have Jean Grey going after something to destroy the world. They can't have it that way, even though they left all the horribly cruel and evil shit. And Peter even points it out. And then later, all of a sudden, oh, she's just trying to save her sister. Let me go help her. It's so
That
dumb.
was my biggest complaint.
Yeah.
How does he say literally exactly verbatim what you're doing right now is unforgivable to
Yep.
her? He says
To
those
her.
words, and then he just immediately forgets that and never
Right,
brings it up again.
because
What?
convenience for Disney. But VMAX was supposed to be a thing. But these poor writers, these guys are like, oh shit, we can't use that now. What are we going to do? We've already referenced it. We don't want to go back and reshoot all of that stuff. Because keep in mind,
Yep.
we still have all the Silver Sable references. We still have all the Spider Queen references because they didn't want to go back and reshoot the whole damn movie. Right? So what
Right.
do we do with the VMAX thing? Oh, I have an idea. Maybe it's just the faded lettering on a ceiling fan.
Yeah, that
Max
was stupid.
vent or
That
vent
was that
max,
was that
which
was
doesn't
really
even make
stupid.
sense. Shouldn't be vent max. It should be max vent, right? But even
Yes.
that they had to solve it somehow, right?
No,
Because
I
it's
think you're right.
faded.
Because a lot of people have said this feels like 2 or 3 different movies that got jammed together,
It does.
and they didn't really know why. Right? They couldn't. Most of them aren't deep into Spider-Man stuff. I even said last week this Jean Grey. I think I said it off air because I didn't want to spoil anything. Jean Grey's powers, and it's not Jean Grey. That she's
It's
never
not
been
Jean
able to
Grey at
do
all.
that.
It's not
She
how
doesn't
she
possess
uses her
people's
powers.
minds. She doesn't
No,
mind control.
not
Like
like that.
that's not how it works. And okay, fine. It's a different iteration. Okay, you can play with it. Whatever. But it's pretty clear that something was changed. Whether it was what you're saying, and you could very well be correct. You probably are even that they wanted to do something with Madam Web or somebody like Madam Web. Uh, but they maybe it isn't even. I'm just this is just an idea, but you're probably right. It might not even be that Marvel said no, put Jean in it. It might be that they tested the idea of Madam Web and it was terrible. It didn't do well because unfortunately a lot of these movies are done not by anybody with actual vision. They're done by focus group and consensus more than anything else.
Right.
Uh, so it could be a little column A, column B, but I actually what you're saying about her, I completely agree.
Yep.
I always agreed. I even said it doesn't make if you want to make Jean Grey have a little bit more of an edge to her, okay, fine. But you can't have the hero, the good guy, Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Mister Ultra Good Boy, say to somebody and be completely correct. What you're doing right now is unforgivable, and
Right.
it
It
is.
is.
And then him just be like,
Well,
that it'll be fine. That'll be fine.
you just don't have the deep nerd knowledge that I do. You recognize something was wrong, but I know, right?
Yeah,
It's a spider. That's why I say it's a Spider Queen. It could be a gender swap of mind worm, but I don't think so because the
yeah,
spiders, the way she uses her mind control, is because she is a mind controller, Spider Queen, right? She uses her
right.
spiders to spy and all kind. She literally controls spiders, or these. I think she might even create them. But nevertheless, Jean Grey. on the other hand, is a powerful mutant. I mean, she is Omega class, especially when she's got the Phoenix Force. But understand, these are her power sets. She is a telepath. What does that mean? She can read minds and she can communicate mentally.
That's
No
right.
mind control, right? Her real power is her telekinetics and woof, right? That's where
Yep.
she's Omega level. She's very powerful. Also, she's an empath. That's it.
Yes.
There's Jean Grey's powers. Now, the Phoenix Force, no matter who has it, is going to get, the power cosmic, which is pyrokinesis in a way, matter manipulation, teleportation, things like that. But that's the
Yep.
Phoenix Force. Anybody who had it would have that, right? But she is a telepath, a telekinetic, and an empath. That's it. That's her ability. She does not control minds, and she certainly doesn't do it like the movie Fallen, because someone's like, "Oh, we're going to use Spider Queen to do that. It's going to be
That's
cool."
exactly what this movie was.
Yeah,
It's just Spider-Man Fallen. That's what they could. They
yeah,
should. They should just called it that because that's what it is.
and it was getting
Um.
dark. Now imagine if they
Yeah.
left it to Spider Queen, and the ending was even darker. Dude, that movie would have been banging. I would have gave that a 7 or 8. Right? Because that
Yeah.
was building up to a horror movie, but then they had to yuck it up with Frank coming in, like I said, best part of the movie, and all the dumb stuff with Zendaya, which is supposed to be done. If they had done the initial treatment until people manipulated it,
Yep.
he sees this vigilante doing stuff. It's quite brutal, and has a little fight with her, and he understands what's happening. Maybe even that's his inception into the problem, right? And
Right.
he has a little bit of a love affair with this Silver Sable, who's a very rich, powerful lady. And the Spider Queen, if they went the horror route, which clearly that was the intention before they started yucking it up, it would have been a different movie, right? But
Mhm.
it would have been pretty cool for adults, maybe not for the kids so much.
Well,
However,
that's funny you say that because apparently there were obviously, as always, there was many different versions of what they wanted to do. Because
right,
Tom Holland was one of the, not just in name, he actually was one of the main producers and helped write a lot of the stuff for this one, at least like story wise. And apparently he really wanted to do Man Spider. He wanted to actually do it. He wanted to do the whole deal, turned him into a like all of it and make it
sure,
body horror and scary. And the studio was like, "We can't do that, Tom, because we want kids to watch the Spider-Man movie." His exact words. So I would venture to guess that you're correct. They
oh
were
yeah,
they because they were she was doing some shit, boy,
it was
and
downright evil shit, dude. They were
then
going
all of a sudden
hardcore.
she just kind of wasn't. And again, my
Well,
whole argument against the movie's premise is if she could possess anybody, right, except Spider-Man at the beginning, she could possess anybody but Spider-Man. Why in the shit was this a movie? This should have been over and done within 20 minutes. She
right.
knew who that guy was. She had absolutely every idea.
All
There
she had
was
to do
no
was
there
walk
was no
in. Yeah, all
mystery.
she had to do was
Yeah,
walk
just
in.
walk in and start jumping between people and bing bang boom, problem
Yeah,
solved.
yeah.
It was silly.
Yeah, it was dumb. There's a lot of dumbness in there. And the reason why, because their original treatment was probably pretty solid, but then they kept getting interference, not just from Disney.
Yep.
Tom Holland clearly put his hand in there, and
Yep.
probably some other executives as well. However, what you get is an absolute train wreck of a story. Because they had this evil villain, and then okay, we have to shoehorn Jean Grey in, and they tried to in the last, the last third act of the movie, they try to soften her as quickly as they can, but
Yep.
as they could, but they couldn't because they had already displayed. And here's the problem: what they should have done is gone back and reshot the entire movie,
Yep.
right? But they didn't want to spend that money, right?
Well, they could have even just when she's doing some of this stuff, right? Like the walking the old man out in front of the vehicle. She's not conflicted about that one little bit, or if she is, they don't show it.
Yeah.
There's no, or they could have even made that a mistake. She's supposed to be young. Why are we making her out to be this hyper competent
Well, because
psychic?
Spider Queen is older. That's why. It's an
Exactly.
actual villain,
But
right?
if they would have went back since they
And
were
this Jean
injecting
is
this and be
super
like,
young, by the way.
and yeah, and just be like, okay, Jean is really young. She's trying to make a point and she screws up here. You could have shown, okay, wait a minute. she is redeemable right there. That could have been the moment to do it. The guy could still be, mangled by the bus, but you could show that there is still, as Luke would say, there's still good in her. Uh, but they didn't do any of that. They just left it as is, and because they left it as is, she looks like a complete monster. By the time you get to her justification, it rings really hollow, and it's quite clear that they just, okay, this is it. We're not going to question it. We need Spider-Man not to question it. Let's go so we can get to the climax
Yeah,
and then move on.
but
And then
well,
at the very end, when they're in the little mind room, um, a lot of people, and I agree with them, it was looked to me like they were setting up a romance between those two, between Jean Grey and him. I mean, they're basically on top of each other, talking about they have each other. Like, what? What are we doing
yeah,
here?
they're not
These
going
are,
to do that though. They're not going to do that. I don't think
we'll
they're going to
see.
do that.
If especially with
But
what you said about Spider-Man created the inhibitor, he basically made the cure for mutants, right? Their doomsday
right,
device here.
he might have guilt of that and go in and try to help them. I see your point.
Yep,
But
yep.
and
And
but
I
we're
do think they're doing Dark Phoenix,
Yeah, yeah,
100%. That's where
100%.
they're going.
And
Yeah,
we're going to take a look at some articles today, and we will continue this conversation. But as far as what they're doing, but I just want to hold off on that. The last point I will make is Sony is trying to walk back a lot of this because a lot of people are making, they don't understand the deep references I gave with Silver Sable and Spider Woman, but they, just like Thundera, they feel something's off. And of course, the big question everyone's saying is, this is a hardcore evil villain you put out, and then all of a sudden you try to soften it at the last minute. And
yeah.
Sony's like, well, technically she didn't kill anyone. Technically, they're trying to walk it back because they realize,
Hmm.
and they probably knew that was coming, right? But
Oh,
let
for sure.
me let me put the kibosh on Sony
Kibosh.
100%. And keep in mind, I do love Sony Bravia. I'm a big fan, right? But let me put the kibosh on it. Let's show you the most evil shit that supposedly Jean Grey did in this movie, but and that Peter instantly forgives, and it's like, no, she's just trying to save her sister. I'm going to help her. Yay! It's so inanely stupid. Let me give you the most evil thing that she did: not walking an old man into a bus, not killing other people, and an entire section of New York being and imagine how many people died in that moment, right? Because she
Yep.
locked down a whole sector around Roosevelt Island, right? That's the island,
Froze them.
froze them up. How many people are driving? How many people are doing various things, right? How many people are involved in stuff? And during that whole period, you don't think some people were heavily injured, if not killed? But besides that, she was inside fake MJ, kissed him, said all kind of cruel, horrible, evil things to piss him off, which is where he said, "You do realize this is unforgivable." But that's not even all of it. Then she walks her off a fucking building, and Peter has to jump and save her, which he does, of course, right?
Because he's fine.
Because he's Spider Man. But excuse me, you just walked the love of his life off a building to murder her, and
That's right.
yet a scene, a act later, and all of a sudden he's so gung ho to help her out. Huh?
Yeah, it's silly.
What? And
It's
it's
big silly.
because it wasn't what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a big showdown, and I bet you the initial concept was, because Spider Queen's powerful, right? Was going to be
Mhm.
him and Silver Sable fighting together. I bet you is
Could
what it
be.
was supposed to be, because I think that's what they wanted, but it just got. But I'm curious because there's so many little Easter eggs from the original concept that are left in the movie. And I get it because they didn't want to reshoot everything. I get it. But
Right.
this
Hmm.
shows you how late in the game these changes were made, because it's clearly Spider Queen to anyone who knows the comic books. And Silver Sable is referenced all over the place in that movie, dude. So how deep in the production did these changes come in? They must have been real late, dude.
Well, I mean, think about the last time they had a Spider-Man movie was 5 years ago. Came out. So there's a very good chance that they had this pretty deep in, ready to come out, and Marvel did what they do. Right? No, wait, we want to add this, we want to add that, and then they got to go back and try and make that make sense.
which is what they
I
had to
think,
do to try to make it make sense.
yeah,
And there are many examples of trying to make it make sense. The VMAX one is the biggest one. And now I'm curious, what was VMAX supposed to be? Now, Grimlock, you and I are comic deep nerds, right?
mhm.
So what do you think the VMAX thing was?
Who knows with them? I've already said one of my biggest problems with these fucking superhero movies, regardless of who does them, is that they mash multiple stories together, and in doing so, you skip over a bunch of shit. You have nowhere else to go afterwards. Um, but going back to your theory about Madam Web, it could have been Madam Web, but remember, Sony fucked that up 2 years ago in spectacular fashion, where they thought they could do a Madam Web movie without Spider-Man. So then you decide, oh, let's actually use a Madam Web, and we can't. And I fucked it up.
Yeah, they did. Because I think that's probably what they were going to call her. Of course, Madam Web isn't that, but I think that's what they were going to call her. But I am curious what the VMAX was supposed to be. Um, uh, because clearly it was they had to find a way around it. And the only hint and information that we have now, I'm sure it'll come out, is clearly it was something that they couldn't use for the Jean Grey swap because it would have been
Mhm.
too evil or too inappropriate. They had to give her a reason, therefore her sister. And then they created the damage control fake bad guy. You understand? You noticed Thundera how thin his character was, right?
Oh yeah, he was
Yeah,
nothing.
he
He
was
was just
nothing.
empty suit. It was
Because
he
they
just
had to.
mustache twirled basically.
Yeah, he's part of the rework, and of course they're like, make sure he's a black guy. We need more of that. Okay, fine, cool. I don't mind that
At
actor.
least they make the black guy, a bad guy. I appreciate that when they
Yeah,
don't
but you
make
know what I
him
mean. You know what I
infinitely
mean.
noble for no reason.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, there's a lot of the problems people have. I agree with them, but at the same time, the things that I appreciate about it are Tom Holland feels like Spider-Man, even though he's still a little too short in my opinion. But he feels like Spider-Man. He behaves like Spider-Man now. He's not Spider-Boy anymore or Iron Boy. He's solving his own problems. He's working through his shit. And honestly, the part that felt like the biggest regression for me watching it, and maybe it's just because I really wanted him to move away from it, like everybody else, is when he's in their apartment and he's goofing around with Ned, and she's there. That whole scene there, I get what they were trying to do, but it just felt like a massive step back for what Tom's character, what his Peter Parker has been through. Up to that point, even in that same movie, he felt like for the first time, even more so than No Way Home, because he still got a lot of help in No Way Home with Doctor Strange and what have you. It felt like for the first, and the other Peter Parkers, it felt like he was Spider Man finally. I actually, as much as I would like to have seen him battling Tombstone and all the other little cameos, it was nice that they had them there to show you that in these past few
It
years
was.
that have advanced in the MCU, even if we haven't shown you, he's been being Spider Man. He's been doing it. He's been doing the job. He's been doing it on his own for the most part, and I really appreciated that. I think that was a nice little world building thing.
Yeah,
I think if
it
you
was
had
good.
taken the first 60%, give or take, of this movie and found a way to end it satisfactorily right there, it would be a much, even if they never fully answered who's doing it, right? Like he stopped them and they just got away, never got a full answer, and it left a mystery or whatever. That would have been for a lot of people. I think even myself would have been more satisfying than the weird Jean Grey thing because it's weird. It feels like they just curveballed it and they hoped it landed. I think the girl did a good job as Jean. I don't think she's the problem. I don't think any of the actors are actually the issue. I think they all do a very good job or a good enough job. I think a lot of people are giving this a lot more credit, myself included, and I probably will continue to, because of how good Tom was. So finally, this 4 movies in of his own volition as Spider-Man, and he just that's Spider Man. Like he
Well,
got it finally. Toby did it
yeah,
in one movie. This guy took this many, but he got that,
and it
and it was
was a very
nice.
toned down situation. It wasn't world ending. It was
Yes,
very, you know,
yeah, it wasn't even city ending. It was this is a personal situation. This person's causing trouble all over, but she's very low. It's almost it is street level. Her what she's doing is very street level, and I really appreciate that. We'll see what they do with the next one. Tom really doesn't want to keep playing Spider Man. He's not saying that directly, but he is saying it because whenever somebody asks him how many more he's going to do, he just dodges the question.
right.
So he just doesn't want to keep doing it. He wants to direct, I think, is what he really wants to do.
Maybe
And
he'll be good at it. Who knows?
they're very clearly heading towards Miles Morales taking over as MCU Spider Man.
That would
It's
suit a
coming.
lot. I don't need
It's
fake
coming.
token Spider-Man. Thank you very much.
He even said in an interview himself that they already have a plan for it, for his how he's gonna leave. It's just getting there. And most likely, the way he didn't say this directly, but the way he's saying it, it sounds like the plan is for him to pass it off to whoever's going to be Miles.
I'd
Um,
rather it be anybody than Miles Morales. Um,
I would
because
do.
I
I would
like
rather
your
they
idea
just.
on Miles actually. I prefer the Prowler.
I yeah. I just think it's inevitable with Miles when it comes to the MCU. I think we all kind of know that they were eventually going to do it. And they're going to be, and I personally believe, for a very rude awakening when they realize that Miles Morales Spider Man is not over.
It's not
Peter
going to
Parker
sell.
Spider Man is over.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not going to sell.
they're going to be
Um,
expecting these big $2 billion a continuation. That's not going to happen. I'm going to tell
it
you right now.
it
First of
worked.
all, Marvel.
It worked in the Ultimate Universe because they did the groundwork to set it up, right? But it's not
Right.
going to work in the main 616. However, I'm
It
going to
worked in
give
the
my
Ultimate
theory.
Universe because people are more forgiving of alternate universe bullshit.
They
It's
are.
the only reason
That
he
is true.
popped off. And he didn't even pop off all that much then. It was basically, let's make a lame black version of Peter Parker that looks like Barack Obama
And he
to
exactly,
replace.
and his creation story is identical, even though we had the real Peter Parker already in the story. It's dumb, right?
Yeah, and
Um,
the show that they should bring Peter back in the Ultimate Universe then, so they wasn't even all that committed to him then.
well, and think how lazy and dumb some of the Ultimate Universe stuff is in just this basic concept.
You're fucked up.
The main storyline in Marvel is in the 616 universe. The Ultimate Universe is the 6160 universe. Geniuses. Okay. Um,
Brilliant, clever, amazing.
just
Give him an award.
yeah, just geniuses. Um, Here's my theory, Grimlock, and you tell me what you think. I think VMAX in the movie. I think it was because we know how these studios are. Anything that's hot or interesting to the public at the time, they want to incorporate. The Boys had a shaky run, but the last season a lot of people did like, and of course in that uh,
A
we
lot of
have
people.
we have the Vought serum, which creates superheroes. Vought V,
Mhm.
right? Now, we know back before they owned Fox, right? Because Fox owned the film rights to X-Men, and the assholes over at Marvel Comics were so incensed by this that they basically wrote the mutants out of Marvel Comics, and in place of them, they put the Inhumans, right? Is what they did. And remember the big burst they gave us, Captain Marvel, the goofy little big hand girl, right, was the Terrigen Mist and therefore Terrigenesis from the Inhuman gas, right? I think in this movie, VMAX was that. I think that's
I
what
did
it was
too.
supposed to be.
That's what I thought it was supposed to be too when they first
It
said it.
wouldn't surprise me, but that goes further back to what I was saying to Thundaro earlier. Give these idiots no fucking credit because if they was basing anything off the last season of The Boys, which was pretty
You know they
fucking
are.
hated,
You know they are.
but knowing these idiots because they still operate on the fucking theory that all engage. Oh, look at how much engagement it's getting online, and look at how much people are talking about it.
dude.
because they still carry this idiotic idea that all publicity is good publicity, as though it's 1897.
Right. Well, dude,
No, those
they
days
still
are
think
over.
Agatha All the Way was a smash hit.
Yeah, for theater kids, for gay theater kids, they love Agatha all along. The 15 faggots and their female friends, they loved Agatha all along.
Yeah. But anyway,
You know, the kind of people who unironically will watch High School Musical on a fucking Friday afternoon. Those people loved Agatha all along. Marvel
right.
fans didn't want that.
They didn't want anything to do with it. No. In the what he's saying, it was the actor that played Ezra Bridger in the Ahsoka series. I don't know what that was, but whatever. Um, Now, taking this Spider-Man conversation, and like I said, go watch it. They could have cut an hour out of that movie; it would have been better. Honestly, all the little stuff with him and fake MJ, it did the movie didn't need it. The last movie they ended it; they cut it right out. It was finished, and they should have left it there. And if they cut all that crap out of the movie, it would have been a good tight hour and 30 minutes, hour 45 minutes, and it would have been a banger.
Yep.
And not doing the Jean Grey crap, right? Now, I
You
really
know what
think
could have
that
been cool? Sorry, but you know what could have been cool is if Punisher was the antagonist, and it was just Spider-Man trying to stop him from killing like killing the whoever, the mayor or whatever, killing Kingpin. Right? He's just trying to stop him from doing something
yeah,
crazy.
that could have been cool
That
too.
could have been cool.
Yeah, but you know, I think what would have been a better solution is to tell your story at the end when Peter finally finds out what VMAX is. Like I think it's Terragenesis. I think is what it is. Um, but in the end, he's trying to stop her from getting this, and because it's a mute thing that she can use to mutate and control people, create an army of spider people, and rule the world. I mean, typical villain shit, right? And in there, he finds a bunch of files, and he sees Jean Grey. He sees Scott. He sees Logan. He sees, and they could have done like they did in the DC movie with Wonder Woman and stuff like that in the Batman movie. They could have introduced them that way, and that they were part of a project, and these are the case studies, the victims of that VMAX project. That would have been much better that he found that along the way, because keep in mind, Spider-Man is not the detective that Batman is, but he is a detective.
Right.
And they showed his
Right.
intelligence, they showed his engineering skills in this movie. They could have showed that too by doing that and left Jean Grey just a photo, and therefore hinting it, solving the Disney desire to have Jean Grey or mutants in there to kick it off, and of course, of all mutants, they choose Jean Grey, and this tells us, one, because it can't be a man, it's got to be a girl. At least they gave us a redhead. And two, they're definitely doing the Dark Phoenix saga again. What is this, number three?
Yep. The other thing I thought it might be the VMAX thing was something to do with Venom,
Something to do with what?
and but it obviously with Venom, but it obviously didn't go that way because Venom kind of already exists in that because they did the weird post-credit scene within the one time about coming to see Spider-Man, and then Venom recognized Spider-Man on a screen. It was weird, and then he was in a bar at the end of the other movie and left a piece of the symbiote behind when he teleported back to his universe. So I thought maybe that's what that was. That they were just for a second. They said VMAX. I thought maybe it meant something to do with like protect, like keeping this symbiote locked down.
Yeah,
Um, but
maybe.
it wasn't
And
that either.
seeing
It was
as it's
literally nothing.
and seeing as it's
It was
spider
literally
related,
nothing.
it could have been that. It could have been
Yeah,
that. Because of course
yeah,
the symbiote came to Earth because of Peter, right? In the Secret
that's right. It
Wars,
was looking
he
sick.
he brought it back. But it could have been that. That makes sense too. I just think, knowing the stupidity of these people, I think it probably leads to the Terrigenesis. But nevertheless, there's more to this conversation, so let's get into it and come back to it. So go ahead.
Hugh Jackman isn't coming back as Wolverine for X Men reboot, says Deadline.
Now,
I think
we
we all
know
kind of knew
Hugh's
that,
opinion.
though.
Well, we know Hugh's opinion on this, and fair enough. Thank you very much, Mr. Jackman. You gave us love for a long time. We love you, brother. And he's
Yeah.
older. Let him chill, dude. However,
Let him go make
uh,
little musicals if he wants, all right? That's
yeah,
what he
let
wants
him
to
do
do.
his little gay shit. Let him go
Yeah.
ahead. He earned it. But of course, we know money will pull him back because he was in the Deadpool movie. I also think that was a bit of camaraderie as well. However,
Yeah,
so
him and
so
Ryan Reynolds are really good friends.
yeah, yeah, and you could tell. However, even though I hate that movie is so mean spirited and nasty. I don't like that shit. I don't understand the modern culture of mean, horrible, nasty shit. I don't get it. But whatever. This statement, this headline from Mr. McGloin here, is definitely what Hugh Jackman thinks. However, Kevin Feige wants to keep him as Wolverine for as long as absolutely possible. And Hugh even made a joke in an interview during D3 here, what, last week? Right?
Mhm.
Saying that, yeah, well, I guess they're going to keep me until I'm 80. So,
Yeah, which is from the Deadpool movie as well.
yeah, maybe. But if they're going to use him as the Logan going into the introducing the new young mutants, they're going to need to CG him up and younger him up quite a bit, which we know they can do. Logan was wonderful what they did with that. It was really good. So they can do that
Mm-hmm.
if they want to spend the money on it. And but it's going to change the dynamic completely. Okay. And therefore, that's all this article says. As far as Hugh Jackman done, he would very much like to be done with it. We already knew this. Kevin Feige doesn't want it. He wants to keep this Wolverine, and even he made a comment. Okay.
Well,
Uh,
I don't know if you saw this past, it was a couple days ago, on social media. He did a little video, him and Mr. Reynolds, about possibly being in Doomsday.
yeah,
After they
but
said
they
that
were joking. They
the
are
original
in it.
movie.
They aren't in it. We don't. You're right. We don't know. However, let's take this understanding and bring it over here to this right here. All right. Go ahead.
Kit Connor on playing Cyclops. Marvel's X Men is a quote, a really different version, a different take.
Now,
Mhm.
this is an important thing to the conversation of not only Wolverine, but the conversation we just had about Spider Man, right? How are they going to do this? Now, this is a child. This guy is what, 20, 22? He's a little
Oh,
boy,
yeah, they're all going to be young. They're
right?
all going
And
to be
that's
real young.
fine. I don't mind that at all. They're looking toward the future. But
Right.
why do you give important statements to be said publicly to children? I don't know, right? But
Because
this
Kevin Feige is
kid
in
coming out and saying it's going to be a really, really different version, a different take. It's like, fuck off, kid,
and
instantly.
we don't want that.
And we don't want that. Haven't you learned nothing? Now, he doesn't give into detail. He just keeps, as a child would, just keeps repeating the data line he was given. Yeah, it's gonna be different, very different take, different, very different take, different, right?
Different take different take.
That's right. So that this article is nothing. It's useless article. He just report. This is probably Matt. No, this is Scanlon. Just reporting on the information, and that's fine. But this kid was given something to say during the D3 interviews, and he did his job. So cool, done. However,
Good job.
now what
Good job,
does
friend.
good? We don't want different. For one, this is going to piss people off. Two, what do you mean by that? Now, he doesn't know what that means. He doesn't. He was given that line to say. So let's go to, Kevin Feige and his people. What does that mean from them? Because they gave him the data, the line to say. So, what do they mean all different? Now, if we bring in Wolverine as Hugh Jackman, and if they pay him money, he'll do it, I'm sure, because he is truly beloved by the fans as well. So that's a motivation. However, that Wolverine, Hugh Jackman Wolverine, is not going to work with these kids, boy. Now, we know in the
Right.
comic he's really old anyway, but keep in mind, he has a lot of dalliances with some of those kids. Now, Jean Grey particularly is his love interest, but she's supposed to be way older than the rest of them. Because keep in mind, the original X Men was back in what, the 60s. And then, Claremont was in the 80s with all his New Mutants that came in, and he did a great job with it. But and in the Fox movie, Scott, they're older, as it should be, so it made sense. And they replaced Jubilee with Rogue in those movies because, Logan does have kind of a fatherly role with Jubilee, not Rogue, but Jubilee, right? So in these movies, how are you going to do any kind of romance with Wolverine and any of the characters at all? You can't, right? Unless you CG him up. But you can't do that with this Hugh Jackman Wolverine, right? So that's different. And I think the other difference is these are not going to be mutants as far as Marvel Comics canon, right? Cosmology. These are going to be Terrigenesis mutants who were created. They're going to do the boys shit is what they're going to do.
And it's going to fail.
It
I
probably
keep,
will,
I
but I'm just saying that's what they're doing.
keep
I'm
repeating it.
telling you.
They cannot afford to fuck this up. And as I was saying to Thundar earlier, I think they inadvertently gave themselves a chance to uh, strike lightning in a bottle again. And I know that they didn't plan this, but they there's another article where they had talked about they don't want Wolverine in this first X-Men because they don't want it to be the Wolverine show.
Right.
Fine. But
So
here's
they
the
don't want to
thing.
make X Men. Got it.
Right. They don't want to make
He,
X-Men, yeah.
he is, whether people want to hear it or not, like I was saying earlier, Spider Man is their most over character. Second most
Yeah.
over character is Wolverine. So
Yep.
what you can do, because they did this by accident, I know they didn't set this up. You inadvertently brought back Savage Hulk. You
Yeah,
get
they did.
Universal. You get Universal on the fucking phone. You do your first X Men movie. Your next movie after that is Hulk, and
Yeah,
you
the Hulk
fucking
scene
set
was
him up,
great, dude, in that movie, by the way. Great.
and yeah, because right, he's supposed to be in the insane asylum, right?
He
So
is
now
in the movie.
you have the perfect out because Savage Hulk, from what y'all said in the movie, he recognized Peter, so he Savage Hulk or whatever still remembers the events of what came before,
He does. Yeah.
so he can get the fuck out. So
Well,
he
you
gets
can't
out.
contain the Hulk anyway, dude.
Exactly, you can't contain the Hulk. So he again, I've mentioned this before. He bails out. He bails to Canada, and they send Department H after him. And you
Sure.
can do the movie with Logan,
Maybe in
Maverick,
this iteration it'll be
Sabretooth,
damage control, but yeah, you're
and
right.
and, and Silver Fox, and you can set up. You can have it be this. You can have it be the MCU's version of Predator. A little more PG, but the MCU's version of Predator,
Dude,
where
we
you
could
give,
get Doc Samson and his mullet. That'd be great.
you can get the easiest sell. You Thundar was talking about Marvel recreating the magic. The easiest sell you have right now is a Hulk versus Wolverine. It's the
Oh,
easiest shit in the world.
that would be great. Yeah.
And
It'd
if
be
you
a
do
good
it,
way to get rid of if they did it with Hugh Jackman, it'd be a good way to get rid of him again. A good another because they brought him back. So another way to send him off would be to have Wolverine or Hulk rip his ass in half. The end of the
but I'm gonna
movie.
be honest. I don't want Hugh Jackman in that movie. I want somebody else so you
Yeah.
can set him into the X Men movies in the future, like they did in the comics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
And do
all.
like
That would be
Fox
the
did. Get a
whole.
young guy. Yeah.
And but you use that movie to set things up. You set up Hulk. You set up Wolverine. You set up Sabretooth fucking over the Department H because after you do the movie, he sees what Hulk is and he's like, fuck this. Victor Creed doing what Victor Creed does best, looking out for number one.
Yeah. but and Wolverine doing the right thing, of course. But all of that
And if
speculation.
you get into the movie, guess what you can have? You can have an old bald guy in a wheelchair with Scott on one side, Aurora on the other, and asking him if he would like to be a part of something greater.
Right? Yeah. Which is what happened in the comics. However, we're getting something totally new, all new and different, is what we're getting. You
Yeah.
recognize that, do you? Um,
Uh,
so I really think that they're not going to be classic mutants. They're going to be Inhumans. They're going to be, Terrigenesis. I think, uh, you know, although Feige really wants Wolverine, Hugh Jackman Wolverine, I don't know if that will happen because Hugh might do a movie with Ryan Reynolds, but I don't think he wants to continue this. And I don't blame him. Let him rest. He did a great job. But we're going to get out. This is going to be a hot mess, dude. And
he's given us nearly 30 years. He exceeded everybody's expectations.
we love him.
Yeah, we
We love him,
love him.
even though he's a gay theater kid. He's a cool
It's,
one.
it's also it's also an incredibly hard role because he has to get in unbelievable physical
Oh
shape
yeah,
to do it every
diet.
time.
He sacrificed for us, man. He did, and we love him for it, dude. We do. Well, Hugh
Like I was
Jackman
talking
is.
about it earlier, that video I watched him, I can't believe he's not even this big. I think it's Days of Future Past or whatever. I mean, he's humongous. He's like Batista Prime level big. He's so huge, and that's hard on your body. There's a reason those guys don't really stay that big for long.
No,
And then
he
his
needs a
fucking
much
age
more
was
comfortable way. Like Batista, he went down. He looks great, by the way, but people were like, "Is he sick? Is he dying? What happened to Batista?" Nah, dude, he's much better this way. He looks great.
yeah.
I saw him in that little salary movie with Jason Momoa, made in
Oh,
Hawaii.
did you watch that?
Yeah, well, it was a fun little thing. A very anti-white man
Yeah,
movie.
it's a fun little movie. Of course it is. It's two brown guys. I mean, that's just for the that part for the course.
But he looks great,
But
and him playing the wiser elder brother is perfect because Jason Momoa
yeah,
plays the idiot really well, right?
because he is one. Yeah,
Yeah, probably, but I mean, he plays it well. He does his thing, Jason. But I love Batista. I think that's one of. I mean, him as Drax was great. Is because he does have good comedic timing, but that
he always
movie
has. Yeah,
I think is actually one of his better acting outings because he's
yeah,
full on. He's the star of that movie, not Jason. Dave is,
yeah. I
and he
agree.
looks
I
great,
think
by
it's a
the way.
good movie.
Yeah,
You should
he
check
looks
it out. I
great.
hope they make another one. I think they have good chemistry together.
I think they
The
do.
story made decent enough sense, and I thought it was fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And the girl, his girlfriend, Momoa's girlfriend, woo boy,
She's
she's
still
hot.
smoking, dude. She's my age. She's always been smoking, but that's a little whore though, right there. You know that, right?
Well, I mean, listen, listen.
That
I'm not going to be mad. Look at her. It's easy
it,
for her.
she is gorgeous, but she's been around, dude. She's been married how many times? It's a lot. Uh, what is her name? She
Yes, it
was
doesn't count if you're married, obviously.
but she's been married a lot, many times. She's my
Yeah,
age group and older. They believe you need to be married, whereas these days they just date, right?
right.
However, this is going to be a very interesting little thing for us to watch and talk about. And who knows? They might pull it off. You never know. They might pull it off. It
I
could
would
be
like to do.
interesting. It's
I would
not going to
love
be
for
our
Spider-Man and
X-Men, but it could be fun.
imagine a Marvel Cinematic Universe focused on the people it should be focused on, not the Avengers. Which right, the Avengers are fine. Captain America's great. Iron Man's whatever. But by and large, because they executed so well,
Of
they were
course.
able to pull off what shouldn't have worked. It just shouldn't have. The Avengers were never that team. They're not the ones. They're not the draw in Marvel, right? Spider Man's the draw. The X Men are the draw. Well, I say the X Men. Certain X Men are the draw.
Yeah.
Um,
No, the X-Men were
and
pretty hot for a while. Yeah.
yeah, but a lot of that was due to the roster, Storm,
Yeah, no,
Wolverine,
100%.
etc.
Well, keep in mind the
Um,
Avengers was created just because they had a bunch of old characters that weren't really selling well, and let's throw them in a team book.
yeah,
That's why they created the Avengers was to try to extend the life of some older
people.
characters.
Yeah, Well, my point is, they're not typically when for us, especially when we think of Marvel, we don't think of those characters. That's Captain America, sure, but not so much, right? Thor, I get he's my guy, but for most people, he's
No,
not.
no.
And Spider-Man, Wolverine, Storm, Charles Xavier, these guys are. So the fact that maybe, potentially, possibly, hopefully, we could get an MCU level of continuity, whatever you think of it, with those characters as the focus, is exciting for me
It
because
could
those are
be.
my
Yeah,
characters, right?
could
Those are the
be.
ones I love.
Yeah,
So if they can pull it off, which again, this will be all up to this next movie and the casting of the X-Men movie. That is what is going to be the life and death of this potential second coming of the MCU. Um, because if they fuck up the casting at all on any of the main guys, you could get away with like a Pyro being some nobody, whatever the fuck, or you could probably even get away with Iceman, to be honest. But you fuck up a Wolverine, you fuck up an Xavier, you fuck up a Storm. There's no coming. It's done. We've already seen it with the Fantastic Four. You
yeah.
threw the wrong guy into Reed Richards, and that was it. Nobody
Well,
cared. Everybody said,
it,
nope, good.
to reiterate that point. Excuse me.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. To reiterate that point with Spider-Man being the cell. Every
That's it.
time a
Yeah,
comic series in Marvel was hurting, what did they do? They put Spider-Man in it, right?
that's
They
right.
put Spider-Man.
Somehow.
Fantastic Four was dropping off, not selling many copies. They sent I forget which one they sent off. So they killed Johnny Storm, and they put Spider-Man in there for a while, right? The Avengers
Yep.
weren't doing well, so they put Spider-Man. Even the X-Men, who
Yep.
was a hot seller for quite a while, threw Spider-Man in it. So they've always used Spider-Man to try to lift stuff. But out of all their titles, Spider-Man and the X-Men, and like you said, certain members of the X-Men are always the ones that sell. The other stuff is more
Yep.
niche. Thor, Iron Man was never a main list comic ever. These
Yep.
movies have completely rebirthed Iron Man,
Mhm.
and even to a point, Captain America, right?
Yep.
So yeah, that is 100% true. However, with this all new, all different X Men that we're going to be getting, I
This
did,
guy, he's trying
I
to trigger us.
yes, I did love this little bit right here because go ahead, read this.
Hang on, let me look at it. Hang on, I'm on my phone, so hang on, give me 1 second. Oh, Samara Weaving is doing her Emma Frost X-Men homework in a bikini. Don't read into it.
Yeah, no, hold
She's
on,
been
here we go.
posting.
Yeah,
She's been posting some thirst traps in Emma Frost like gear for a long time.
clever girl, clever girl.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
She was a good
you
casting. They did a good
you
job here.
you play into that little girl because and of course
And
here's just
she's
a
a
look
cutie
at her
pie.
in the
I like
past.
it.
She is cutie.
Like
And
and I agree with you. Normally, and a normal character is not that big a deal if they're not hot. But Emma needs to be
now
hot.
Emma needs to be.
Period.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we agree. She, Rogue, upcoming stuff, we need them to be sexy. And of course, the girl that they pick for Rogue is not right. It's wrong. They're going with the Fox version. This girl right here, very potentially. Let me go see her thirst trapping here. What's her name? Samara Weaving. All right.
Samara Weaving.
Okay. Interesting name. Not her real name,
She's
obviously.
she's Hugo's. No, it is. She's Hugo's niece. Hugo Weaving.
Really?
Yep.
Nepotism. Okay.
Yep.
Samara Weaving.
Yepetism.
Let's see here. Sexy. I'll do that.
Oh boy. Careful. I don't know if she's ever done a nude scene, so be careful.
Um, yeah, I do believe I have my safe search on. Yeah.
Okay.
You guys told me about that before, so I checked it. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, she's kind of just the normal girl, but she's got the looks for it. But more importantly, I think she's got the attitude for it, right?
Mhm.
Um, and she's kind of got that Margot Robbie thing going on a little bit. But yeah, no, I this girl is completely comfortable in her own skin. Uh, Definitely have her be as sexy as she want to be in this
Yep.
upcoming movie, boy.
Lean
Uh,
into it.
yeah, but I love the clever girl. You lean it. She understands fan service. She gets it,
She
right?
understands the assignment, as they say.
She does.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
important, right? So, like, we were just talking about how great Hugh's done as Wolverine, and he has. No one can say otherwise. But a lot of that is because he understands that his job too. His
mhm.
job is to make that longtime Wolverine fan happy. That's his job. She understands that's her job, and to do that, she has to be a little scandalous, a little flirtatious. She has to tease us a little bit because that's what Emma Frost would do,
Yeah. And
and
she's a bit
I
older too,
appreciate
which I
that.
think is good.
Yeah, she's in her mid 30s, at 34, I think.
Yeah. It's good. This is the
Now you mentioned the Rogue Girl. Did you see who it was? You saw who it was?
I did, and it's yeah, it's not what we want. She's not correct for Rogue. Let's see here. Upcoming Marvel Rogue. Let's see. Can you handle that, actress? Yeah, this girl. See, in the Fox movies, they went with this kind of dumpy little short thing. She's the absolute worst choice for Rogue. 100% worst part of those movies was this girl. Not her fault. She was
Yeah.
given a job. You do you, girl. This is the new one. What's her name? Well, let me go find her name, and then we'll find a picture of her. We looked at it before, but I'll do it. Let's see here. Fans celebrate. I- is this correct? Yeah, this girl. Is this the one we looked at before? I don't think this is the one we looked at before, is it? This is a different girl.
No. Yeah, this is the girl from that Obsession movie. The lead, the female lead of that.
Yeah, but that's not what the girl we looked at before. So Sadie St. Chris Abbott, I guess it is. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
this is the girl you're going to get. This is a different girl we were looking at. That must have been a speculation. This is the confirmation. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And honestly,
let me rethink this for a second. Um, well, they did race
somebody
swap
did a
her, but
mock up
not
of
so
her.
horrible.
Somebody did a mock up of her in one of Rogue's outfits already. I'm surprised it's not showing up actually, but
Well, let me just
I think she
do
looks pretty good.
this,
We'll
and
see.
we'll get a look at her physique here, maybe. All right, she's not too scandalous. This is an older one. Very, very South American. All right. This is definitely better than the girl we saw, but I don't think she can pull it off. I mean,
We'll
we'll
see.
wait and see. But that girl is
See,
not going to pull it
here's
off.
the thing.
But it comes down to
She's
attitude,
very
though. Attitude.
she's very Gen Z hot. What I mean by that is to Gen Z, she's hot. They love this girl.
She's
That's
not
why
hot.
that one of the main reasons that movie did so well is because all of the simping for this young lady.
She's really,
Um,
really not hot, dude.
I'm just telling you, for them, the target audience, she is.
Okay.
She's hot right
Well,
now. She's a big deal. She's going up, and it's a good casting for that reason for them.
well,
Now, for us, I would want somebody even more beautiful
more
because the whole point of
athletic
Rogue, she's
and prettier.
untouchable.
But
Yeah,
she's close enough though. If she does a little fitness work and tightens up her body a bit, which you're an actress, you should do that. Um,
yeah.
and she brings the correct attitude, but can she do the accent? I don't know. She's an actress, you should
We'll
be able
see.
to. But if she has the accent and she brings that sultry, smoldering sexy, if she can do that, it might well work. It could work. It could work.
I would say she's pretty enough to pull it off
Yeah.
aesthetically.
No, you're right. She's pretty enough. But she's got to do the work though. She's got to do the work.
Yeah. And like you said, and I agree, it'll really depend on how she carries herself as Rogue. It'll depend on if she has the ability to turn on effortless sexiness like Rogue has. Because Rogue isn't necessarily trying to get people's attention; she just can't help it.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous,
Well, yeah,
and
we've
she has
gone
the ability to
into
do that.
yeah, well that's right. But we've gone into it. It's a Emma Frost uses her literally uses her body to do her job, right? She has
Yes,
because of her abusive childhood, she has no problem sleeping with anybody to get what she wants. She has no problem. She's a full-on whore. It's part of the character. Rogue, of course, is not because she can't even touch people, but it's part of her curse because mutants need to suffer, you see. And
yes,
her suffering is the fact that she is desired by many because she's so desirable, but she can't have it, right? We explained this before. So this girl's fine. The race swap and all, whatever. It's not the we've seen worse, right? But
yeah.
she's got to do some work. She needs to tighten up. She's going to have to go do some exercise and get herself tightened up. And she's going to have to be able to bring that sexy, man. I don't know. Anybody see the obsession? Can she bring
I
it?
did not. Everybody I've talked to said it's really good though, so we'll see.
Yeah, but can she bring that sexy though? Because it's not, we've seen a lot of actresses who think they can, and boy, they can't. Like
Not as easy as you might think.
it's not. And honestly, one of the ones for me that everyone seemed to like, but she couldn't bring the sexy at all was, what's the Roberts girl from the uh, the movie where she played a prostitute and the guy hired her?
Julia Roberts?
Julia Roberts. That girl ain't got no sexy going on at all. That's the most, but I guess she's the awkward sexy, I guess is what they were trying to sell.
Yes,
And Alan says, at least we're not getting Nosferatu Storm. Yeah, I suppose so.
that's true.
But
No, she's been cast. She's been cast. It's not Nosferatu. Thank fucking God.
yeah. Well, actually,
Even though the
speaking of
niggas
that,
are complaining.
because this is convention season, right? And of course, amongst those conventions is the statuette collecting convention, sideshow collectibles and hot toys and all that stuff. Did you guys see the new sideshow collectible storm?
No, I did not. I did not.
It's old one. Here we
Ooh.
go, right here. They gave us Mohawk Storm, dude. Look at that.
Oh, it's $1 favorite.
Yeah.
Well,
And it all lights up and it blinks like lightning. It's really cool, actually. I don't care for the Mohawk much, but that's definitely nostalgia for my generation, right? But
mhm.
yeah, that and it's huge, dude. It's like 2 foot tall, and that's the full-bodied Storm we had back in the day, too, buddy, right there. Not some skinny little anorexic girl. That's Storm.
Yes.
Yeah.
It, yes. She's hard to cast because she's a yes from every man who's ever lived. That's who's still is.
Yeah, I do prefer the long hair version over the Mohawk, but it is classic though. Claremont Storm. But anyway, let me get to this other stuff. Just a couple little quick things, and we'll take a look at the box office. Um, this right here, I just want to continue with it because Ryan Gosling is doing Ghost Rider, confirmed. He's
Yep.
very excited about this. He's been
Good.
pitching for this for a long time. He really wants to do it. But look
I
at
love
that
it.
release date, dude.
Yep. Plus, right
That
after all this is said and done.
That's tight, dude. That's less than 2 years. They have to get that in the can and in the theaters. That's tight.
Yep.
But
Tells me
he
they got a lot of the pre work already done.
probably, and he is a professional. We know this, so Probably no big deal,
And
but
he takes his job very, very seriously.
he
Like I
does.
said before, one of the things that they got lucky with, or maybe it wasn't luck, maybe it was just really good casting, is for the most part, aside from a few exceptions, they hired nothing but adamant professionals
Yeah,
who take their job very seriously, who treat it like a job, who understand their job, and they didn't cause any trouble up until the last little bit here, where they started bringing in new people who didn't have the same professionalism or respect for the property that the OGs had.
yeah,
Uh, what you get a guy like Mr. Gosling who already has that built into him, and he's got a 20, really a 30-year career under him already because he started when he was real young. That's a good move. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Ghost Rider going forward and how if this movie's successful, which it probably will be. Because like we talked about before, it's I don't know how you make him fit in the Avengers. You know what I mean? Like how does that work?
no,
Um,
I
what
keep
are
it
they?
separate 100%, and I would go ultra dark because you have Ryan. Before I love the Nick Cage for the first film anyway, but that's Nick Cage being Nick Cage. Uh, that's a it's you can't. It is what it is. What with Ryan here being a actor, um, you could
Yep,
do a really dark Ghost Rider and it would work with him,
yep.
and that would be
Make it
cool
a horror
too.
movie.
Yeah, make it a horror movie, dude. Anyway, 2 years away. you know. Speaking of uh, same
There
dude,
he is
right?
again. There
What?
he is again. Star Wars Starfighter. Yep.
This is also
Box
grossing,
office
but
bar already below Mandalorian and Grogu. Wow.
because no one's talking about it, no one's interested in it. People are kind of done with Star Wars, and it's interesting to me that there is hype for Marvel with all the hateful shit they've done, right? Now,
Yep.
Star Wars did a bunch of hateful shit too. But Star Wars people have seems to have just noped out, whereas Marvel people still have hope in their heart for some reason. So
Well, I can explain that. Hang on one second here. Let me switch back to my head. I can explain that. It's actually very simple. They're not associating Tony Stark, particularly Robert Downey Jr. and his cadre, with the shit that Marvel did. Whereas Star Wars, they made it a point to destroy the hero of the entire franchise,
they did.
directly, intentionally, purposely, and with absolute malice in their heart. That's why. I've said it before. I'll say it again. They will not get back their audience unless they fix Luke Skywalker. I don't care how they do it. I don't even care if it makes fucking sense. They just got to do it. And until they do that, until somebody, this is why nobody cares. Because what am I watching these movies that are in the interim for when I know how it ends with Luke? It's like when you take Spider Man and end his marriage for no fucking reason, and then you lose half or whatever it was of your audience, and they never come back. Yeah, yes, you betrayed them.
You
You
did.
betrayed them on a
You did.
fundamental level. Of course, they're not
Yeah.
coming back.
Yeah, no. But over here Super D says she played crazy pretty well in Obsession. I think she may do really well in the role as Rogue. I hope so. Booster has an opinion. He says, I want Drive Gosling for Ghost Rider and not Quirk Chungus Gosling. Quirk Chungus Gosling can be in Star Wars. Holy crud, Thundero sounds much better. Don't use your awful headset. Okay. That's it. That has nothing to do with nothing. All right. But I don't know what Quirk Chungus Gosling is.
It's
Uh,
probably better if you don't know.
oh, okay.
Guess who in his
But
later movies? I don't know.
I don't know, but I do know that yes, please, Drive Gosling would be great. That's what you want, because I'd love a dark, horror-based Ghost Rider. That would be great, dude. But no one's talking about this. No one's interested in this. So therefore, the projections are pretty low. I bet you a lot of people don't even know he's doing this, dude.
Well, I'll also say the reason why Marvel also gets um, away with more than they are is because, let's be frank, Marvel has had more hits. I
Oh, they
mean,
have
up
in
until
recent
up
days. In
until
recent
at
days, yeah,
least up until the beginning of Phase 4, they you could argue that they couldn't do no wrong. Whereas, I mean, Force Awa- once you get past Force Awakening and everything is like completely subjective. Like, did you like Rogue One?
Well, Force Awakens
Most
sold too.
people hated Solo.
It's full of
Well,
plot
yes,
holes.
most people. Yeah, but most people liked Force Awakens at first. It's like I said about J.J. Abrams and Christopher Nolan before. They're great movies as long as you never watch them again.
It's like Chinese
What if
food.
you?
Yeah.
No, no. I could always go back and get Chinese food. I never care. Once you see a J.J. Abrams, Christopher Nolan movie, if you felt good about that when you left the theater, don't ever watch that shit again. Whatever that fucking movie is, you're gonna hate it the second or third time around because you're gonna see so many blatant fucking holes.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, my and I saw it very quickly. I saw it initially, but I saw it and I was like, well, this isn't great, but the hype was amazing, and I was like, oh, whatever. But like 2 days later, my kids were in town because they were at university at the time, and I took them to see it. Right, so I saw the movie back to back very quickly, Force Awakens, and the second watching of that was a slog, dude, an absolute slog. It's so riddled. But
Yeah,
it is true though, because Star Wars, you got to go back to the frickin' late '70s, early '80s to find great Star Wars. That is true, because
because I mean, for all the flaws that the prequel series has, they're at least rewatchable on some level.
especially the third one. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, true. But it's been a while since you've had a universal hit with them, whereas Marvel people are it's beloved. But anyway, you got that.
and, and, and any goodwill that they had, they fucking crushed it because they were starting to get goodwill with Mandalorian, and then they fucked that up with the Gina
because
Carano situation and
they
never
can't help
recovered.
themselves. They're a bunch of morons, hateful morons. Anyway, I'm on my time, so let me go through this real quick. Holy shit, dude.
There it is, 2 billion.
$1 billion in their pocket,
Yeah, that's right.
dude.
That's right.
And just think how much Disney would be peacocking
They
if
would
they
be,
was we did 25% of that.
dude. Do you realize how desperately Sony needed this?
Yep.
Well, both of them needed it. It wasn't just both of them needed this shit.
Yeah, but Disney's not is get Sony's getting the lion's share of this for sure. But
Yeah,
But
and other things.
Disney has no overhead costs. They're just getting
yeah,
paid.
but I kind of think I would not be surprised if Disney actually made no money on this at all and actually paid money.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
But
it's
I
possible
have
that
no
this.
idea, Booster. It's like a
If
5. It's watchable though.
if you look at the production cost they have, right, and if you go with the whatever the rumors are for Doomsday, I've heard outlandish, as high as $500 million production cost
Or more.
for
I'd
that
say
movie.
more.
So
Yeah.
just think about it. This movie is going to bank 2 billion. Hell, it might get 2.5 billion. And by the time its run is over, they're going to get 25% of that, and that's just going to get swallowed up by whatever fucking money they're spending on Doomsday.
I don't even know if they could get that 25%, but I get your point. Let's see what else we got here. These are the new. Wow, we had a lot of new movies hit. It's summer. Warner Brothers. End of Oak Street didn't look interesting to me at all. This seems to be part of the Cloverfield universe somehow. But it made a little bit of money. It probably didn't cost much, to be fair. But it's a weird little time distortion movie. It didn't look interesting to me. Paw Patrol. I saw this at the Japanese theater. And this not bad. Not bad. Okay. We got Cat's Eye, Wild Hearts. It made a little bit of money and only 754 theaters. Celebration to the group's new
Stephen
era and
King.
the fans who made it possible. What the fuck is a Cat's Eye?
The only Cat's
No
Eye I
idea.
ever read was the Stephen King shit from back in the 80s.
No, I think this is some K-pop band or something. I
Okay.
have no
Looks like it.
idea. Six, the musical. Six Wives of Henry VIII, reimagining them as pop stars who reclaim their narratives from the infamous husband shadow. and it made some money. It's chick flick saying, Henry's a horrible, he's a man, he's horrible, 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 and we're all still alive. Okay. The Brink of War. Ooh, didn't do very much. Looks like a salary movie to me. But it's basically Reagan and Gorbachev, or Mikhail Gorbachev. Yeah. Okay. All right. Weird movies to put out in the summer you got here, folks. All right. Some kind of Indian thing. Okay. Great. Your Name, the 10th anniversary. Oh, this is that thing was a mega hit. This little anime movie in Japan. This
Yeah,
everyone was talking about that for a year. Um, oh, this one actually is the McConaughey since. Dude, this bombed hard, but it'll open in small theaters though. Wonder why? Maybe they're just going to throw it on streaming and they just wanted to be qualified for the Oscar for next year.
pretty
But
much.
this one actually looks a little bit interesting. It's got Kevin McConaughey in it playing. I don't know, is it bad guy or a dark hero or something like that. The
Hmm.
wrong girls, drugs. Nice.
Excellent.
Yeah, they doing drugs and they gain telepathy. Yay. Okay. Elijah
Limitless.
Peel. It's a good name. Not much money. It's about some. It's a rockumentary, I guess. Union County. Okay, he's addicted to opioids. 10 theaters, $68,000. All right. Okay. American Doctor. One theater, 40,000. That's actually pretty good, dude. That's actually pretty good. $40,000 in one theater. That's not bad at all. And of course, they're going to help the Muslims. Nice. And then all old stuff. Let me go back to top 10 and see if anything interesting. Toy Story is still there, dude.
So
$1 billion.
just that's crazy. Just so we're clear, they added theaters to Spider-Man.
Why
Three or four,
wouldn't
whatever
you?
it is, 3 or 4 weeks in. They're adding theaters because look at this money. It's going to
Yeah,
make $1 billion in just America.
it will. It will. And it's going to skew their profit as well. But it's going to skew the standard 50-50 balance I do.
Do you
But this
think
could hit 2.5, maybe even 3 billion, dude, if it keeps his legs like this.
that's what I was just about to ask? Do you think there's a chance it makes it all the way and becomes the absolute number one, getting 3 billion?
It could. It doesn't deserve it, but it could.
Listen, I'm going to tell you why. Booster asked a question earlier, but we were talking about other stuff. I'll tell you why this movie's so successful. It's because the last movie. Last movie made almost $2 billion itself. It was like 1.9 billion
Damn.
itself. So that's why they're building off. It's the snowball effect. Plus, there was a nice long break between them. And whether anybody likes it or not, Tom and Zendaya are hot as fuck right now. They're
They are.
just drawing like crazy.
They are.
I,
So that's why.
did you see
Now the young people
what
like them, dude.
Howell posted?
Yeah. Booster. I don't really know. There are in the end of Oak Street. There are definitely Cloverfield Easter eggs in the trailer, which I saw. So maybe it's the same director or same producer. Just we see that sometimes. They'll take movies they did before and kind of put Easter eggs to their previous work in there. Maybe that's what it is. But there's definitely Cloverfield references in that trailer, 100%. But maybe it is not technically affiliated. I don't know. Is this David Robert Mitchell? Is he the guy who did one of the Cloverfield stuff? Maybe that
I don't know.
explains it.
Could be.
Yeah. Anyway,
Did you see what the Howell comics said in the chat?
Hayden Panettiere. That sounds familiar. Who's that?
The girl from Heroes, apparently, she is dead at 36.
Holy shit! Is that the cheerleader girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now. Yeah, she's gone. Law enforcement sources confirmed police responded to an incident involving Hailing today, and there is currently an open investigation. A source close to TMZ said she had been complaining about back pain within the past year. So she died at her house.
Yeah, it's the cheerleader girl. Well, that's a shame, dude. So we
Pretty
don't have
sick.
much information, but
Yeah, this just happened a few hours ago.
yeah, that's a shame. She mainly, she of course was in Heroes, but mainly she does soap opera stuff. Is who she is.
That's
That's
pretty,
probably why you haven't
pretty
seen her
sick.
because she's
I'm,
over there
I'm
doing that
older
stuff.
than her.
Uh, I'm trying to see if
Yeah.
she's has any family, children she leaves behind.
No, I think
No,
they said
she's
she has
just
a
a
boyfriend.
serial dater.
She's yeah,
She did have a daughter. Oh, she has. It
that's
says
sad.
here though that she did have a daughter. She's a serial dater though. She's all over the place. But she did have postpartum depression after that, and she continued to have trouble. So maybe it's darker.
Hmm.
Maybe it got to her finally. I don't know. That's too bad. She
I will say this,
saved the
completely off
cheerleader,
topic.
saved the world.
From,
So,
completely off topic from this.
mhm,
The guy they got to play Professor Charles Xavier is at least American. That's nice.
that's nice. Who is it?
Yeah. His name is Christopher Jacob Abbott.
Never heard of him. Man, that's
He
good.
looks kind of young though, so I don't know what they plan on doing with Charles. We'll
Well, they
see.
said all different. So
Yeah,
maybe he becomes the Cyclop character. He's the team leader, not the professor, right?
oh boy, that would be he can walk. That'd be funny.
It would.
Um,
Yeah, well, you never know.
I mean, if they really want to fuck it up, go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm here for it either way. I'm gonna eat that popcorn either way,
yeah.
Marvel. Go ahead and do what you got to do.
Right. We'll see. But nevertheless, very interesting. Definitely come back for our stuff this week if you're interested in that. But I am definitely way past my time. I got to go. So, Grimlock, you got something to say to the people?
Um, hell yeah, I'll go back to what some of y'all was talking about earlier about people talking about what they deserve. Who the fuck told y'all deserve anything?
Yeah,
You earn what you get. And you're not either. You don't deserve anything other than to exist once you're here.
that's true. And
Everything strictly about what you put in. If you don't put in, you don't get.
yeah, well, the hubris of Hollywood is very interesting. Let's see, who is the most famous Hollywood actor alive right now? Probably Tom Cruise, right? So,
Yeah,
what percentage do you think of humanity actually even knows his name?
his real name.
I would say the most famous going right now is probably Tom Holland, since he's about to make $2.5 billion off
So,
one
okay,
movie.
whatever. You choose whatever name you like. What percentage of humanity do you think even know his name?
5-10% at
That
most.
dude, that's not even close. I'd say it's probably two or three,
Yeah, I
right?
was being generous.
Two or three
Um,
percent, and that's the biggest names. Most of these celebrities, whatever industry they're in, they think they are the schnizzle. But there,
yeah,
in reality, you're not even famous at all. Now, let me ask the same question. How many humans on this planet do you think that know the name Donald Trump?
probably just about all of them at this
Pretty
point.
much near all of them, right? So, all of their arrogance and their ego, it's like, you're not even actually famous, dude.
Yeah, you have no
Relax.
real power. You have no power here,
No,
as Bane once famously said.
that's right. So,
Uh,
anyway, take us out of here.
I'm going to do this one because you butchered it earlier. The master is not the one who completes his training. The master is the one who never stops.
Mine was more succinct. Later, everybody.
But it wasn't as poetic.